Chapter 51. Washington, beyond the suburbs, the Appalachians. There are endless mountains everywhere here, and there are few people. After Chen Hui and Tony led the Green Titan here, they all stopped. Not long. Boom. The ground shook, and the Green Titan figure landed on the ground. Looking at Chen Hui and Tony, who were flying in the air, he let out a roar, which was so powerful that it scared all the creatures in the mountain to flee. Chen Hui, what should we do now? How can we subdue this big guy? Tony looked at Chen Hui. He had also seen satellite images on the way here, and the mighty figure of the Green Titan facing countless missiles and bazookas made him gasp. Although the firepower of his battle armor is extremely fierce, it is still not as good as a high-level army of hundreds of people. In other words, with Iron Man alone, it is impossible to defeat the Green Titan. We don't need to subdue him. Chen Hui said, it's not hard to see that the angrier this Green Titan is, the greater his strength. On the other hand, the calmer he is, the less powerful he is. We just need to find a way to stabilize his mood. Just stay. Tony nodded, as if 56 yards, but how do we make this big guy emotionally stable? Chen Hui was silent for a while. It is not easy to appease the Green Titan. In the movies, all the people who can appease the Green Titan are women who have feelings for the Green Titan, and he is not a woman. What's more, he has nothing to do with the Green Titan. Affection. However, the current Green Titan is just awakening, and Bruce Banner's Green Titan personality is not strong. Maybe we can use this to use the longing in Banner's heart to wake him up. As long as he returns to a normal person, everything will be much easier. He can just take this opportunity to study the gene of the Green Titan, and see if there is a chance to integrate it into his bone vein ability, so as to make his full skeleton vibranium plan more perfect. Thinking of this, Chen Hui took a deep breath, and his figure landed on the ground. Keng keng. At the same time, the steel battle suit opened, and Chen Hui stepped out of it. Chen Hui, be careful. Seeing that Chen Hui, had actually taken off his steel battle suit, Wang Ni's expression changed. Tony, don't worry, I have my own measure. Chen Hui turned his head and said, at the same time made a gesture of not worrying, then looked at the Green Titan not far away, his eyes flickered slightly. I know you can understand me. Chen Hui took a deep breath, walked slowly towards the Green Titan, and said, think about the cities destroyed by you, think about the innocent citizens you injured or even killed, and those who defended the country's soldiers, every single one of them, had family, friends, even new wives, newborn babies. Because of you, a white-haired man sends a black-haired man, the newlywed wife is full of sweetness one day, and becomes a widow the next day, distraught, and those newborn children have lost their father forever since then, childhood will become incomplete. All of this is because of you. Are you going to continue like this? Chen Hui's voice is gentle, but extremely loud. The Green Titan saw Chen Hui coming down, and was about to attack, but when he heard the other person's words, he was stunned, and then seemed to remember something. His face became ferocious, painful, and he hugged his head with his hands. Roar! He let out a low growl, and it could be seen that his body was slightly smaller. It works. Seeing this in the air, Tony's eyes lit up. Originally, he was already ready to rescue Chen Hui at any time, but seeing Chen Hui's short words at this moment made the Green Titan's power fade a bit, and when he looked at Chen Hui, there was a difference. Chen Hui couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief seeing the Green Titan's reaction. To be honest, he didn't have much confidence in his heart at the beginning, and fortunately, the current Green Titan has only been awakened not long ago, and Bruce Banner's personality consciousness is not deeply asleep. Otherwise, if an old Green Titan has a complete and mature Green Titan personality, his short few words will not have much effect on him at all, but will be attacked instead. Chen Hui struck while the iron was hot, and continued to open his 3-inch tongue. Think about it, you also have lovers and friends. Do you want them to suffer unfair treatment from the world because of you? All you have to do now is to take a deep breath like me, control your emotions, and calm yourself. Chen Hui is like a persuasive teacher, constantly guiding the Green Titan, who looks like a newborn baby, to adjust his emotions. Suddenly, Roar! The Green Titan let out a low growl again, and his body shrank constantly at a speed visible to the naked eye, until finally, it turned into a normal file size, and turned into a naked man. This man is Bruce Banner. Dr. Banner. Tony saw the real body of the Green Titan, and couldn't help being surprised. Whoosh, flew down, took a closer look, and confirmed that it was post-Dr. Banner. His expression was shocked to the extreme. Bruce Banner is a famous physicist, Tony naturally recognizes it. Banner panted heavily, and after he recovered a little, he raised his head and looked at Chen Hui. Little brother, thank you for waking me up. You are welcome. Seeing that Banner had returned to his original state, Chen Hui flashed his eyes and said, Dr. Banner, this is not a place to talk, let's leave quickly, otherwise people from the military will come over soon and let them discover your identity. Then you and suffer. Good. Banner nodded. Following the three of them, they quickly left the place, changed Banner into clean clothes, and went to Washington. After finding Pepper and Gwen, the five of them headed for New York together. 66666666 I'm so sleepy, please allow me to take a nap. Chapter 52. A drop of blood was dropped into a test tube. This blood has a deep color, which is different from ordinary people. As it dripped into the test tube, it stuck to the glass wall for a long time before finally sliding down. He picked up the test tube with one hand, and integrated it with other test solutions with great skill, finally turning it into a strange green-brown viscous substance. Eventually this substance was made into a specimen and observed under a microscope. It can be seen that the cells in this substance present a strange green color, are extremely active, and their vitality is unbelievably high. Once stimulated, they will expand, and an extremely unbelievably powerful force will be generated from it to block any virus, damage, and so on the invasion of other microorganisms. What a powerful green titan gene! Chen Hui looked away from the microscope and sighed in his heart. Green titan is indeed strong. Unlimited anger, unlimited strength, the more angry the stronger, it is like a bug existence, born to be a fighting machine, one person can trigger a world war. However, the power of the green titan is not unique, because he can be copied. Chen Hui's eyes flickered slightly, and he had already made a plan in his heart to integrate the green titan gene into his body. If his full skeleton vibranium project is finally successful, then if he wants to fully display the vibranium bones and burst out with incredible strength, he will need a stronger body to adapt. A body as strong as a green titan is perfect for it. Powerful strength, super self-healing ability, combined with his vibranium corpse bone vein, can definitely instantly make him powerful to an unbelievable level. Moreover, his green titan-like powerful body is also the key to his successful vibraniumization of all bones. Chen Hui, how is your research going? At this time Tony's voice sounded. Right now they are in the Stark building, where there are some laboratories, and Chen Hui will start some research here. Came with Tony, and Banner. Dr. Banner's gene has been completely mutated. Chen Hui picked up the test tube and shook it. Look, I used Dr. Banner's blood to create this kind of flesh-like substance, so as to observe the specific gene cell expression. These cells are completely crazy, full of gamma-ray energy, more perverted than cancer cells. If they are in a sleeping state, they will become extremely powerful once they are stimulated, and will destroy all intruders. Hearing Chen Hui's words, Banner immediately ran over and looked under the microscope. After seeing his own cells in it, he was completely stunned, almost unable to believe that such a change had taken place in his body. Chen Hui, can't it be cured? Tony couldn't help asking. Chen Hui is not only a biologist, but also very good at medicine. With the combination of the two, even the shrapnel near his heart can be removed. Maybe he can cure Dr. Banner? That's what's on Tony's mind. Hearing this, Chen Hui pretended to let out a small sigh. Can it be cured? Nonsense, definitely cannot be cured. Besides, in Chen Hui's view, turning into a green titan is a manifestation of evolution, not a disease, so how can there be a cure? Definitely, Chen Hui couldn't say this in person, so he coughed dryly. Actually, this kind of thing is not incurable. With one word, Chen Hui immediately pulled Banner back from being in a daze, and quickly looked at Chen Hui, with a hint of excitement in his eyes. Dr. Chen Hui, if you can cure me, I will be grateful. I never want to become that huge amounts of green monster, I want to return to a normal life. However, I can't guarantee it 100%. Chen Hui continued, Dr. Banner, I have my own professional laboratory in Queens. I want to take a lot of your blood tissue and take it back to study it carefully. Once there is news, I will notify you immediately. Then I'll go with you, and I can help you a little. Banner said. That's unnecessary. Chen Hui quickly waved his hands and said, Dr. Banner, what you need to do now is to go back as soon as possible before everyone connects you with the green monster. Don't let others suspect that the explosion started from your laboratory after all, you should know the pros and cons of it, right? Joke. He went back to carry out the full skeleton vibranium project, and used the Green Titan gene to make himself stronger. How could it be possible for Banner to go back with him? Okay then. Banner also recognizes the stakes. 0. He couldn't just disappear like this. The laboratory exploded, produced the Green Titan, and made a big fuss in Washington. If he disappeared like this, he would be blatantly declaring to the world, I am the Green Titan. Absolutely, a whole lot of troops will come to capture him immediately. The next thing was simple. A lot of blood tissue samples from Banner were taken. Chen Hui got the new elements of Tesseract and the Green Titan gene in this bumper harvest, and immediately set off for Queens, New York, and returned to his laboratory now. Start retreat research. The first thing to study is the Green Titan gene. Chen Hui should study it thoroughly, get rid of all unfavorable factors, keep the most perfect essence, and strengthen himself. At the same time, taking advantage of his free time, he called the whip, and the two of them used hadron collisions together to create the brand new energy element in Tesseract, making the most perfect for his full skeleton vibranium plan. Prepare. 66666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666666. Chapter 53. This retreat study is a very long-term study. Before retreating, Chen Hui told all his relatives and friends that the school has basically been suspended. Especially Gwen, although this little girl knows that Chen Hui is researching a cure for Dr. Banner, but when she thinks that Chen Hui may have to study for half a year, she is a little reluctant. Chen Hui has no choice but to agree to a month come out and meet Gwen once. But Gwen still refused. In the end, after a compromise, Chen Hui set the time to come out every time at half a month. Soon, half a month passed. Gwen stayed outside Chen Hui's laboratory on time. Keng keng. The iron door of the laboratory opened, and Chen Ling Hui walked out with a little tiredness on his face. Gwen hurried to meet her. Chen Hui, how are you? Gwen asked with concern. Seeing Chen Hui's tired look, she felt a little distressed. It's fine. Chen Hui smiled, I'm just a little sleepy. If you're sleepy, go home and get a good night's sleep. When Gwen heard this, she couldn't help but pull Chen Hui back to her home, and push Chen Hui onto her bed. Chen Hui has slept on this bed many times. Lying on it, feeling the familiar atmosphere above, Chen Hui felt more and more sleepy, but he still tried his best, looked at Gwen and smiled. What? What time is it and you're still talking? Gwen gave a blank look. I tell you, you must have a good rest today, and remember to sleep in the laboratory in the future. Don't be confused when you do research, otherwise, I will immediately ask you to stop researching. Okay, can't I listen to you? Chen Hui couldn't laugh or cry. Then, under Gwen's strong threat, and he was indeed a little sleepy, soon Chen Hui fell asleep. Gwen carefully covered Chen Hui with the quilt. Hey? What is this? Gwen suddenly let out a light gasp, her eyes fixed, and she saw a halo flashing through Chen Hui's neckline. She gently lifted the quilt and looked over carefully. I saw that it was a delicate pendant-like thing. Inside the pendant, there was a blue light constantly flashing, especially when she approached, the light flickered even more. Faintly, Gwen seemed to hear there is something sounding in it. She was puzzled and even more curious. Before he knew it, he put his hand on the pendant. Suddenly, the azure light flickered more intensely, and there was even a buzzing in it, which was so intense that Gwen felt his mind buzzing. But the strange thing was that Chen Hui couldn't seem to hear such a strong humming, and he was still sleeping soundly. Gwen was a little scared. He wanted to let go of his hand, but found that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move his body, let alone take his hand off the pendant. He wanted to wake Chen Hui up, but was horrified to find that he couldn't make a sound no matter what. How so? Gwen panicked and didn't know what to do next. Suddenly, crack! As if there was a cracking sound, Gwen looked over and saw that the pendant was cracked, and from it, the azure light turned into a stream of light like flowing water, which seemed to open a gap in the space, from which, more azure streamers surged, followed by all flowed down Gwen's fingers and flowed into Gwen's body. Gwen's eyes widened. I just feel that at this moment, I have entered a strange world. Around this world, there is darkness and confusion. Suddenly, bits and pieces of light flickered, making the surrounding world look like a starry sky in the universe, which looked extraordinarily beautiful. Gwen was instantly attracted by the beautiful scenery. But her face changed very quickly, because she saw, in the depths of the cosmic starry sky, a faint figure flashed past. She was about to take a closer look at what it was, but suddenly her body trembled, and she felt, as if someone had come behind her, and hugged her with her hands. "Come back." The hands in front of him couldn't see the exact shape, they just shone with a hazy azure light, but Gwen had an intuition that they were a pair of women's hands. At the same time, a faint female voice rang in my ears. It's just that before she could observe carefully, her eyes froze suddenly, and a dazed look appeared in her pupils. Followed by those hazy blue palms, they disappeared as they melted into Gwen's body. Wow! I don't know how long it took, Gwen opened his eyes suddenly, and found that he was still in the room. He looked at the time again, only a minute had passed, and the pendant on Chen Hui's neckline was still there, not broken. The faint light is flickering, but it is not a blue light, nor is it strong. All this made Gwen realize that what happened just now was nothing but a dream. But, why is it so real? Gwen recalled the pair of women's hands hugging her from behind. Unconsciously, she raised her waist. But just lifted up. Swish! Suddenly, Gwen was stunned, because she found that she had left the room at some point and came to the edge of the stairs. Gwen was stunned. All that just now, ah! Chapter 54. Okay. Chen Hui frowned. He opened his eyes and found that Gwen was gone, and looked at the time again. Only nearly 5 minutes had passed, and it was at most 2 minutes before he fell asleep. In such a short period of time, no matter how sleepy he is, as long as Gwen makes a slight movement, such as going out, he can have a perception. After all, his spider telepathy is not a decoration. But, he didn't feel anything just now. Why did Gwen suddenly leave and disappear? Chen Hui was puzzled. Squeak! At this time, the door opened slightly. Seeing Gwen poking her head out, she happened to meet Chen Hui's eyes. Gwen seemed guilty, and immediately screamed in fright, but quickly covered her mouth and looked at Chen Hui with twinkling eyes, showing a far-fetched smile. "Well, I'm sorry I disturbed you." Chen Hui frowned even more. "There are weird." "Gwen, what happened?" Chen Hui asked. "No, it's nothing." Gwen smiled, saw the pendant hanging on Chen Hui's neck, and suddenly said, "Oh, by the way, Chen Hui, where did you buy this pendant? It actually glows." "This?" Chen Hui looked at the pendant, and suddenly slapped his forehead. "Oh, I almost forgot, this is a protective pendant, I made it myself. I was going to give it to you as a surprise, but I forgot." As he spoke, he picked up the pendant, came to Gwen, and put it on for Gwen. "Look, how beautiful, do you like it?" Chen Hui laughed. He made this pendant by himself based on the arc reactor. The light inside contains a new element of tesseract. When Gwen is in danger, it will diffuse an energy mask to protect Gwen's safety. After the incident with the Green Titan, he was particularly concerned about Gwen's safety, and there is a positioning system in this pendant, which allows Chen Hui to keep track of Gwen's whereabouts anytime, anywhere. Like. Gwen nodded shyly and smiled sweetly. But touching the pendant, feeling its exquisiteness, and seeing the faintly shining light in it, I couldn't help thinking of what happened before, and couldn't help feeling a little hesitation. Should I tell Chen Hui what happened just now? Gwen. But at this moment. Wow! As if time and space had changed, Gwen only felt chills all over his body, and at the same time, the sound of sirens rang in his ears. She couldn't help being stunned for a moment, and then her face changed. Chen Hui was also taken aback. He raised his head, looked around, and found that he, who was supposed to stay in Gwen's room, had actually come to the street with Gwen at this moment, and the passers-by next to them stared at them dumbfounded, and even an old man who was about to eat a hamburger was surprised. Looking at them intently, he didn't even notice that the hamburger fell from his hand. Chen Hui was speechless for a moment. He took a deep breath and looked at Gwen. "Well, Gwen, I think you can explain all this, right?" He. Gwen sneered. The street was not far from home, and soon the two returned home. Under Gwen's narration, Chen Hui understood all the ins and outs clearly, followed by showing a contemplative look, looking into Gwen's eyes with a strange look. "Gwen, you said that you touched this pendant, saw it break, an array of light poured into your body, and then you saw a strange woman hugging you in the universe starry sky. After you woke up, you had this pendant. Ability, right?" Gwen nodded obediently. Okay. Chen Hui took a deep breath. Before I analyze it for you, let me show you something first. What? Gwen was taken aback. Chen Hui smiled mysteriously, and immediately stretched out his arms. Under Gwen's curious gaze, bone spurs spread out from his arm, and each bone spur revealed a crystal-clear jade color. It doesn't feel hideous and terrifying, but has a kind of beauty like a work of art. Gwen stared blankly. With disbelief in his eyes, he looked at Chen Hui. Are you the one who fought the lizard monster that day? Not bad. Chen Hui nodded. Sighing slightly in his heart, in fact, he wanted to tell Gwen about his ability a long time ago. It frightened Gwen, and he was always looking for a suitable opportunity. Originally, he wanted to tell Gwen the truth after the full skeleton vibranium experiment was successful at the latest. I never thought that something like this would happen today. It's better to just say it directly. Anyway, Gwen has also become a super ability person, and she has the ability to bear this incredible thing in her heart. You are the mysterious superhero. Suddenly Gwen was excited. Chen Hui was taken aback. Wow! It's so handsome. Gwen waved her small fist and said excitedly, ever since what happened that day, I have always imagined that you are fighting that lizard monster, and then protecting me or something. I also wrote a play for this. My boyfriend is a superhero, it's great. I didn't expect all of this to be true. I've been arguing on the internet, for the superhero who fights the lizard monster, take it what a good name. Really? Seeing Gwen like this, Chen Hui felt relieved. Following a pretended impulse, he waved his hand and said, what is this? You know the swordsman in black that is widely rumored on the internet? That's actually me. Besides, He has been holding back in front of Gwen for too long. This time he revealed the truth. He felt very comfortable, and he simply pretended all the coercion that he had never pretended before, and Gwen was also very interested in this. When he heard Peter, she couldn't help saying after she and Harry both had super abilities. By the way, Chen Hui, let Mary Jane acquire super abilities too. In this way, all of our good friends will have super abilities. In the future, we will form a team to fight villains. I have already thought about the name of the team. It will be called Fantastic Five. I think 123 we should not be inferior to the Fantastic Four, right? Chen Hui twitched. Team up to fight bad guys. Fantastic Five. He was really frightened by Gwen's brain hole. Okay, Gwen, now let me analyze your ability in detail. Suddenly Chen Hui looked serious, and said, in this world, or in this universe, there is a kind of magical item called infinite gems. You said that you touched this pendant, and a blue power from it poured into your body. In fact, this power is a brand new energy element that Tony and I researched not long ago, and it was created based on the energy element called space gem in infinite gems. It's very possible that you inadvertently let this element communicate with the mysterious space gem, so that through space transmission, the power of the space gem will be integrated into your body. That's why your ability allows us to instantly teleport from your room to the street. This is the power of space, big. Chapter 55. Chen Hui tried his best to explain to Gwen what he knew about the space gem, namely Tesseract. It's just that this is just his guess. Specifically why Gwen would trigger the space power when touching the Tesseract element and gain super ability, he can't say well. Maybe this is the explosion of character. Chen Hui couldn't help thinking. In any case, in this perilous Marvel world, Gwen can obtain a super ability, and it is a life-saving ability similar to space transfer, which is still very good. In this way, Chen Hui can stay in the laboratory with more confidence. Researched. However, because Gwen is still very unfamiliar with the use of super abilities, in the first week, Chen Hui slowed down the pace of research and took Gwen to the laboratory to help her master the use of super abilities. And he also needs to be familiar with Gwen's ability. In the end, Chen Hui found that all of Gwen's abilities were concentrated in one of her hands. Her hands seemed to have a magical power to tear apart space, enabling her to teleport instantly, and the radiation range of the space power of her hands is currently 3 kilometers, and it is increasing at an unstable rate every day. Sometimes it is faster, sometimes it is slower, and there is basically no growth at all. In addition, Gwen can also take people to transfer instantly, and similar to the flicker performed by Fan Bingbing in X-Men, reversing the future, transfer other people independently. It's just that it's different from flickering. Any space transfer of Gwen happens instantly. In fact, Chen Hui had a whim at the beginning. Since Gwen can instantly transfer any object, can he transfer an internal organ of the human body instantly? For example, the heart. If this can be done, then Gwen's lethality will instantly reach the abnormal level. However, it was later discovered through experiments that Gwen did not possess this ability. A week later, when Gwen was fully familiar with his own abilities, Chen Hui entered the state of closed-door study again. Time passed unknowingly. In a blink of an eye, it was already 3 months later. In the lab. In a huge open space, many sophisticated instruments were built. The most eye-catching and core instrument is a white particle accelerator divided into almost 6 sections. This particle accelerator was acquired by Hammer at a great cost, and it is extremely refined. At this moment, in front of the particle accelerator, there are 2 figures busy. One of them is naturally Chen Hui, and the other is the whip that has been controlled by him and works exclusively for him. Whiplash's head was dripping with sweat, but his expression was filled with excitement. As the light in front of his eyes lit up, he saw a blue light rising from the particle accelerator. "Boss, the 300th new element has been successfully manufactured and stored in the arc reactor to provide energy for all instruments." Whip Cable said. "However, the negative energy of this particle accelerator is at most 300 parts of new elemental energy. Otherwise, if there is more, I am afraid it will be too much. There will be a big explosion." "Yes, I know." Chen Hui nodded. For 3 months, he has been producing brand new elements every day, incorporating them into a large arc reactor installed on the particle accelerator. Besides, the Green Titan's genes have also been thoroughly researched by him. It's just that the Green Titan's gene is too powerful, and it's not something that a liquid medicine can bear. In terms of power, it is necessary to find a brand new method to carry the power of the Green Titan. This is not difficult. It happened that he was going to carry out the whole skeleton vibranium project, and the vibranium element was undoubtedly the best medium to carry the power of the Green Titan gene. When the time came to carry out the arc reaction in the cells, it could just deliver the power of the Green Titan to his body. But now there is still a problem, that is the extraction of vibranium elements. The vibranium element is too difficult to extract. Chen Hui sighed in his heart. For the past 3 months, he has been trying to refine the vibranium element, but vibranium is worthy of being the most stable 177 substance, and the elements are also extremely stable. Without enough power, it is impossible to refine the vibranium element. Come out. So Chen Hui became ruthless, and directly produced 300 parts of new elemental energy, which was integrated into the arc reactor to supply energy for the particle accelerator, making the operation of the particle accelerator reach the extreme B. He didn't believe that 300 parts of new elemental energy could not extract vibranium element. Whipcord, prepare to open the particle accelerator and refine vibranium elements. Chen Hui issued an order. Yes. Whipcord nodded, took a deep breath, and turned on the particle accelerator again. Buzz. Suddenly, the particle accelerator started to work. Integrate 50 parts of new elemental energy first, and perform the warm-up function. Next, blend in 100 parts. Buzz 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 OK. Finally, 300 copies, put in all of them. Chapter 56. Accompanied by huge amounts of buzzing sounds, at this moment, the particle accelerator is operating to the highest limit, almost reaching the limit. The energy contained in just one new element is already extremely huge, let alone 300. Terrifying power condenses in the particle accelerator, and even a suction force emerges from it. This suction force is extremely powerful. If an ordinary person is here, he will definitely be sucked in instantly, and then he will end up with no bones left. But neither Chen Hui nor Bian Suo are ordinary people. And they have protections in place. Feeling that the energy concentration of the particle accelerator has almost reached its peak, Chen Hui ordered again. Take the vibranium out, yes. The whip rope should be heard. He has done this step many times in the past 3 months, so he is very proficient. Accompanied by the activation of the switch, in front of the particle accelerator, a vibranium piece the size of a fingernail appeared from a collision hole, revealing a silver-grey light. Seeing vibranium appear, Chen Hui took a deep breath and regained consciousness. In the past 3 months, he has refined vibranium elements too many times, but none of them were successful because the impact force of the particles was insufficient. This time he was ruthless and incorporated 300 parts of new elemental energy to activate the particle accelerator. Operating it to the limit, giving the particles in it terrifying energy that is so strong that it almost explodes. But even so, Chen Hui was still a little apprehensive. Forget it, I didn't succeed this time, I will try again at worst, add more energy, try to explode the particle accelerator, and extract the vibranium element. Call. Chen Hui felt ruthless in his heart, let out a long breath, shook off the feeling of worrying about gains and losses in his heart, and concentrated all his energy. Violently. He waved his hand. Start the particle accelerator completely, start impacting, and carry out vibranium element refining. Clear. Whipcord also took a deep breath, with concentration and excitement in his heart. The moment Chen Hui's voice fell, he flipped on the last switch. OM. At this moment, the previously condensed energy in the particle accelerator suddenly began to explode, and a dazzling white brilliance flickered out of it. Almost instantly. Boom. A beam of slender white light shot out from it, and slammed into the vibranium, causing the vibranium to tremble violently at this moment, and the particles on the metal surface trembled continuously, trying to block the penetration of this white light. But the energy in the white light is simply too strong. Almost in the blink of an eye, the surface of vibranium began to shatter, and the particles in its structure spread out one after another. Immediately afterwards, the entire vibranium was completely annihilated in the white light, allowing the white light to pass through smoothly and reach the collider. The end. Chi. This powerful collision energy only lasted for a few seconds before it stopped completely. The energy of the new elements in the arc reactor had been completely used up, and the entire particle accelerator emitted white smoke. Among them, sparks were splashing, and it was obvious that some damage had occurred during the overloaded transportation this time. Finished. Chen Hui squinted his eyes and looked towards the end of the collider, where the element storage was. If the element is extracted, then there should be light shining in the element storage. If the extraction fails, then there will be nothing. Chen Hui looked over, his heart was beating and he was a little nervous. Finally, the scene in the element storage was fully visible, and it was pitch black at first, and nothing could be seen. Chen Hui frowned, and was about to look carefully, but suddenly, a burst of light bloomed out of it. Bright golden brilliance. Chen Hui was taken aback, but soon his face showed ecstasy. Successful. I extracted the vibranium element. His eyes were full of excitement, and he couldn't help but be overjoyed. It was really not easy. In the past 3 months, he had desperately created 300 parts of new elemental energy, and finally extracted the vibranium element. Okay. Next, repair the particle accelerator and continue to produce new elemental energy, which will be used to provide energy for the vibraniumization of my bones. At the same time, use the vibranium element to carry the green titan gene and integrate it with the bioreaction chip. Finally, the beginning of the good show. Chen Hui looked excited. The vibranium element was successfully extracted, and the next step was some trivial preparations. Once the preparations are all done, then the experiment begins immediately. In about a month and a half, every trivial work has been done. All energy sources are fully prepared, and Chen Hui asked Hammer to reinforce the laboratory to prevent accidents in the experiment and blow up the entire laboratory. Finally, Chen Hui let the whip go away, and he came to a steel seat that he had prepared for a long time and was connected with many precision instruments. Call. As soon as he sat down, all the instruments engulfed him, like Iron Man wearing armor, making him almost submerged in a large pile of cold instruments, tightly wrapped. Shut down all excess power. Chen Hui ordered. Wow! In an instant, all the lights in the laboratory were turned off, leaving only the lights around the steel seat, illuminating Chen Hui's face. Start injecting the bioreactor chip. Diddy. Check. A unique degaussing injection tube pierced into the connection between Chen Hui's spinal cord and brain, and injected the bioreaction chip integrated with vibranium elements, green titan genes, and tesseract new element energy into Chen Hui's body thoroughly. The huge amounts of pain made Chen Hui clenched his fists immediately, veins popped out on his forehead, and his facial muscles were trembling. But his will was extremely tenacious, and he continued to order in voice, stimulate all the stimulation instruments, conduct energy stimulation in all directions, 360 degrees without dead ends, and turn on the energy source to the maximum. Full skeleton vibraniumization, start. Penalty. Boom. At this moment, the energy in the entire laboratory was concentrated on Chen Hui's body, very well, making every cell in his body tremble at this moment. The bioresponse chip injected into the body, under the stimulation of such violent energy at this moment, broke into particle-like fragments with a bang, and almost disappeared in the blink of an eye. But if someone could see these fragments, they would be able to find that all these fragments rushed into Chen Hui's cells crazily. Especially the osteoblasts that make bones. With it as the main body and other cells as supplements, all of them bloomed with a strange golden light at this moment. From a distance, it looked like a golden flame was burning, and it looked extremely gorgeous. And at this moment, outside of Chen Hui's body, his body seemed unable to withstand such a powerful force, flattening at a speed visible to the naked eye, melting with the space distortion. Almost in the blink of an eye. Where Chen Hui is, the space is blurred, and his figure can't be seen at all, as if he disappeared, as if dead. Chapter 57. In the entire laboratory, the moment Chen Hui's figure disappeared with the space distortion, all the energy also disappeared instantly, and all of them poured into the steel chair. It seems that there is a black hole vortex, devouring everything. Followed by silence. All the energy and light in all directions disappeared, leaving only a thick, invisible darkness. But suddenly, boom! An earth-shattering loud noise erupted from the steel seat, and at the same time, the entire steel seat burst open. Along with it, all the surrounding instruments exploded, as if they were attacked by a force that would destroy the world. At the moment of the explosion, even some metal instruments were moving at a speed visible to the naked eye, melted. Soon, the steel seat, including all the instruments beside the steel seat, were all destroyed. But this violent force still didn't stop spreading. It directly swept over other instruments in the laboratory, including the particle accelerator, the huge arc reactor, and other metal instruments. Under the spread of this force, they burst and melted one after another, especially those metals, which actually melted into a liquid state. This shows how strong this force is. Crack! Crack! Boom! The entire laboratory, at this moment, was almost completely destroyed. But this force still didn't stop, frantically bombarding the surrounding walls. The surrounding walls have been reinforced. In addition to the dense steel bars, there is also a whole piece of steel extension wall, which is extremely thick. It can be said that unless Magneto comes, even if the Green Titan is here and wants to break through this wall from the inside, it will be impossible. It takes a lot of work. But at this moment, with the penetration of this force, all the steel bars, whether they are inside the wall or outside the wall, all melted. The incomparably thick steel extension wall, under the vibration, also couldn't bear it, and it also melted. The reinforced walls, which seemed to be incomparably solid, quickly turned into metallic liquid at a speed visible to the naked eye, flowing all over the ground, completely exposing the entire destroyed laboratory. Seeing this scene, Han Mo, who was standing outside guarding Chen Hui, and Whiplash were stunned, their faces full of disbelief, and they even rubbed their eyes, thinking they had misread. Gwen is here too. When she saw the scene in front of her, her face immediately changed drastically. Without any hesitation, she raised her hand, and was about to transfer to the laboratory in an instant. But at this moment, a powerful wave of air moved, causing Gwen to stagger. At the same time, the violent force that spread out, seemed to be caught by something, stopped for a while, and then quickly shrank back. While shrinking back, all the destruction stopped, and the roaring sound also completely stopped. But at this moment, the air became extremely oppressive. Hammer and Whipcord only felt that they were about to suffocate. They both opened their eyes wide and looked into the depths of the laboratory. When they saw this, their pupils shrank for a moment, and there was a faint. It seems that there is a group of golden flames surrounding it. And in it, a figure stood up slowly. Gwen was choking too. But she was suffocating with joy. She and Chen Hui were too familiar. Once she saw that figure, she immediately recognized it. It was Chen Hui without a doubt. Chen Hui is still alive. Hey! In the ruins, Chen Hui let out a long breath. At this moment, he is surrounded by a mass of golden energy flow, which looks like a super scion. In this energy flow, anything that enters will be crushed. So the place where he stood looked extremely neat. But that's not the point. The most important thing is that Chen Hui can feel that this energy flow is closely related to his body. When he moves his mind, this energy flow will shrink into his body, just like his limbs, which can move freely. Control. Chakra. Chen Hui looked excited. He knew that he had successfully created chakra through scientific methods. Definitely, his chakra can also be called the Qi in Dragon Ball, or the inner force in Chinese martial arts. It is a strange power born from human cells. Next, look at my vibraniumized skeleton. With anticipation in his heart, Chen Hui stretched out his arms. With a thought, there was a sound of psst, and bone spurs grew out of his arms. He can feel that his bone spurs have reached the extreme in terms of hardness, toughness, durability, and stability. It can be said that his bones have been completely transformed into vibranium, and even made up for the hardness of vibranium. Disadvantages that do not work with density. Besides, strictly speaking, his skeleton is still bone material, not metal. Even if there is a trace of metal, it has been completely degaussed by Chen Hui. This is a change in the nature of the bone. In addition, on the surface, these bone spurs are different from the jade-colored bones before, but reveal a strange pale gold color. This pale gold is a kind of radioactive energy naturally present in the bones, and the diffusion range has changed from the original nanometer level to the millimeter level at this moment. That is to say, the radioactive energy in the bones can penetrate a few millimeters, as if the surface is covered with a layer of sharp energy flow. As long as it slightly rubs against the enemy's wound, it will make the enemy miserable. It is definitely the best way to torture the enemy. At the same time, Chen Hui can also enhance this radioactive energy with his own chakra. For example, his bone sword. Incorporate chakra into it, then this radioactive energy will run crazily, forming an incomparably sharp star blade with outgoing performance. In this way, my strength will undoubtedly increase dramatically. Chen Hui was in high spirits. I tried 10 finger-piercing bullets. After using chakra, his phalanx was shot out at a supersonic speed. Coupled with the radioactive energy on its surface, the penetrating power should not be too strong. After studying for a while, Chen Hui has almost mastered all the abilities he possesses, including his physical strength at the moment. After integrating the Green Titan gene, although I don't know if I will become stronger and more powerful, this requires a special experiment, but the most basic thing is that Chen Hui's physical fitness has been greatly improved in all directions. It can reach the 100-ton level with a single effort. However, besides these, it seems that I also have a rather special ability. Chen Hui looked at the liquefied metal on the ground, frowning slightly. These liquefied metals condensed slightly at this moment. However, when the energy in Chen Hui's body surged, he concentrated his mental power, and poured it into his own bones. The metal surged up, completely turned into a liquid state, and scattered away like flowing water. This is the ability of antimetal. Chen Hui's eyes narrowed slightly, and a strange look appeared on his face. The so-called antimetal means that with him as the center, within a certain range, all metals will have their particle structure destroyed and turn into liquid. In other words, a metal attack, for him, would be completely ineffective. Chapter 58. Chen Hui knows that the vibranium in the Marvel world actually has two forms. One is the common vibranium, collectively known as Wakanda vibranium. And the other kind of vibranium is called Antarctic vibranium. It is rarer than Wakanda vibranium, and its power is more terrifying. He also has a name, that is antimetal. As long as there is Antarctic vibranium, as long as a small piece, within a few miles, all metals will melt. Fortunately, the place where the Antarctic vibranium landed is in the Antarctic, and the number is extremely rare. If there were such a quantity as Wakanda vibranium, the whole Earth would immediately collapse. My bones, because the cells integrate vibranium elements, some changes have taken place in the form of particles, and after energy stimulation, they will produce special mutations, possessing a part of the antimetal properties of Antarctic vibranium. Chen Hui tried 22, but this will consume my chakra. The more molten metal, the faster my chakra will be consumed, and it cannot be used for a long time. Chen Hui withdrew his power, and immediately the molten metal had a tendency to condense again. Call. At this moment, a figure flickered behind him, and Gwen speeded up. Chen Hui. As soon as Gwen came over, she hugged Chen Hui tightly. Tears of joy were about to fall. I thought you were dead. Don't do such a dangerous experiment next time, okay? Otherwise, I'll never end with you. Okay, I will definitely not do such a dangerous experiment next time. Chen Hui stroked Gwen's head, a warm current rose in his heart, and smiled. Because the power was recovered by Chen Hui in time, although all the instruments in the laboratory were scrapped, the entire laboratory was not blown away by the explosion, and the movement did not spread far. In addition, under the instruction of Chen Hui, Hammer basically sealed off the surrounding area of the laboratory, so basically no one noticed the situation here. Chen Hui commanded Hanmer and the whip, and began to sort out the wreckage of the instruments in the laboratory, and prepared to bring some new experimental instruments over, especially some special instruments for testing strength. Chen Hui needed a set of special equipment to test them. What is the highest level of my physical fitness, and at the same time test whether I can also be like the Green Titan, the higher the anger, the greater the strength. At the moment, a plane flew over the sky of Queens, New York. Mr. Senator, I advise you to calm down and struggle in vain. It is not a wise choice. On the seat of the plane, a young man showed a weird smile, and looked at a middle-aged man in a suit with a fat figure and bald hair on his forehead. In front of the middle-aged man, there is a unique symbol that ordinary people will understand when they look at it. This person is a senator in Congress with high authority. When the corner of the young man's mouth showed a strange smile, fine blue skin scales suddenly appeared all over his body. After smoothing off, he turned into a woman with red hair, blue skin, and yellow eyes. With a leisurely posture, he squinted at the senator. You. The senator's pupil shrank, and his expression showed shock. Send. Subconsciously wanted to press the alarm, but at this time the drug in the drink had fully taken effect, he couldn't move at all, and even had some difficulty in speaking, so he could only open his eyes wide and look at Mystique in horror. At this time, the cab hatch opened, and a person stepped out of it. It is an old man with white hair. The old man was wearing black leather clothes, with a cloak behind him, his face was full of wrinkles like chiseled by knives and axes, and his eyes were sharp, making him look like a sword despite his old age. There is no doubt that the old man is still the world-famous powerhouse of Marvel, Magneto. Mr. Senator, don't be afraid, I just want to invite you back to my brotherhood as a guest. Magneto said lightly, oh, by the way, although you are full of malice towards our mutant, we will give you the utmost kindness. After you finish being a guest, we will let you go. During this period, as long as you just have to enjoy yourself, enjoy the pride of being a mutant. Saying that, Magneto waved his hand. Mystique nodded, then raised her crossed leg and kicked the senator on the head. Bang bang! The senator just fell to the ground and passed out. Let's go back at 113, hey! Seeing this, Magneto was about to order to go back, but suddenly his expression became fixed and he looked down the plane. What's wrong, Eric? Seeing Magneto's strange expression, Mystique couldn't help being puzzled. I feel a strong metal energy, and this energy is shattering. And the location is below us. Magneto looked serious. Raven, I'll go down to check, you go back first, I'll be there soon, we'll be back, it is good. Magneto's ability is extremely strong, and Mystique has nothing to worry about. She nodded, and then came to the cockpit, instructing people to open the rear cabin of the plane. Magneto moved, put on the iconic helmet, followed by controlling the metal on his body, and flew down. At this moment, Chen Hui was busy talking and laughing with Gwen in his laboratory, but at this moment, a tingling feeling suddenly surged in his mind. Hey? Spider telepathy. Chen Hui frowned, and became vigilant. Chapter 59. After the whole skeleton is vibraniumized, with chakra, Chen Hui's spider telepathy also becomes stronger. Not only does the radiation range is extremely wide, the danger in the distance can be detected instantly, even with a trace of chakra, he can also use spider telepathy to slightly feel what the source of danger in the distance is. This spider telepathy is very strong. Chen Hui didn't have the slightest hesitation, he used chakra on spider telepathy, and suddenly a figure appeared in his mind. The cloak fluttered behind the man, and a helmet was on his head, and he was rushing down from the air. Feeling this, Chen Hui glanced slightly. Magneto. Magneto's features are so obvious that Chen Hui recognized him even if it was a blurry figure. Suddenly felt strange. It stands to reason that Magneto should be hiding in the dark with his mutant brotherhood now. Why did he suddenly come to Queens, and it seems that he came straight to me. Could it be that? Chen Hui looked at those liquid metals, and had a little guess. Magneto is very sensitive to all magnetic metals. It seems that it should be my anti-metal ability, which destroys a lot of metals and releases huge metal energy, which makes Magneto sense arrived. After roughly understanding the reason, Chen Hui calmed down. Magneto is not a guy to mess with, so he turned to look at Gwen and said, Gwen, get out of here quickly. Leave? Why? Gwen was taken aback. We have an unexpected visitor coming. There was a smile on the corner of Chen Hui's mouth. As he said that, the venom battlesuit on his body surged up, gradually wrapped him up, and turned him into a black windbreaker, covering half of his face. Only his eyes were exposed, and there was a fighting spirit in his eyes. At the same time, he pressed his right hand on his left shoulder, a bone sword with a light golden color was drawn out. He continued, "Gwen, you should be very familiar with that person, he is a leader among the mutants. Magneto. I have the anti-metal ability, and he probably sensed the riots of the Golden Quantum, so he came here check it out. I have a venom battle suit to hide my identity, but you don't have it, so it's better to leave quickly, is that so?" Gwen understood, and as soon as she saw Chen Hui wearing the venom battle suit, she knew that Chen Hui wanted to fight Magneto. Gwen understands Chen Hui's character very well. He is a restless master, but he never fights uncertain battles. So she respects any decision made by Chen Hui. For example, the meaning in Chen Hui's words at this moment is obviously to have a fight with Magneto. Although she was a little worried, she didn't object. And for Chen Hui's strength, Gwen is very confident. What's more, she knows that Chen Hui has a special anti-metal ability, all metal attacks are ineffective to him, and Magneto, which others fear so much, is nothing to Chen Hui. So Gwen nodded and said, "Okay, be careful, but I will watch from a distance at any time, and if there is any danger, I will come here immediately." "No problem," Chen replied. Following Gwen's figure, he teleported away in an instant. Under Chen Hui's instruction, he took hammer and whiplash away by the way. "Call." Chen Hui exhaled, looked into the air, and his fighting spirit was revealed in his eyes. "I just wanted to test my strength, so here you are, Magneto, very good. Very good. I just don't know if a Magneto can let me fight to my heart's content." A smile curled up on his lips. Whoosh! The figure flashed, and it disappeared in the blink of an eye. The speed was unbelievably fast, and it came to the top of the laboratory in an instant, looking into the sky. But at this moment, in the air, the figure of Magneto galloped towards him. Seeing Chen Hui on the roof, especially seeing Chen Hui's eyes looking over at this moment, filled with a fighting spirit, he frowned. "Who are you?" Magneto's voice sounded indifferently. Chen Hui didn't speak. With cold eyes, he raised his sword and pointed at Magneto. Suddenly, with a movement of his left hand, a piece of metal was thrown into the air by him. It can be clearly seen that this piece of metal has a tendency to melt into a liquid state. Seeing this, Magneto's pupils shrank slightly. Immediately after looking at Chen Hui's eyes, there was a gleam of sternness, and even a faint killing intent surged, the power of anti-metal. "You are the one that makes the metal power riot." "Good." Chen Hui said lightly, "Magneto, you are a metal master, and I am an anti-metal ability. There is bound to be a big battle between the two of us. Since you are here today, let's have a big fight, let's see if your metal control is strong, or my strength is stronger." "Humph, those who desecrate the power of magnetism and metal, you don't need to fight me. What you need is to hide your own ability, so that you can live longer." Magneto quickly calmed down. Was it right? His expression was full of indifference and coldness, and he looked into Chen Hui's eyes, even with a hint of sarcasm and disdain. Possessing an ability, but still flaunting it, and even provoking him, this kind of person is too crazy, too young, and he will not live long. "Really?" A sneer appeared on Chen Hui's face, "but in my understanding, madness and unruliness are the capital for a strong man to become a stronger man. Once you give up the publicity in your heart, hide your ability, just to survive, then, you are not worthy of this ability." Whoosh! "Don't talk nonsense with Magneto, after all, the old man is talking too much." Chen Hui won't keep chatting with him, just flash his figure and jump high, like a green titan bouncing came behind Magneto in an instant. Immediately afterwards, cut down with a sword. Chapter 60. Magneto's expression changed. He never expected that Chen Hui's speed was so fast, and his jumping ability was so terrifying that it exploded. He was at a height of 100 meters, but the opponent jumped behind him all of a sudden. How is this possible? Can he not be shocked? But Magneto has experienced many battles, and quickly calmed down. Quickly controlling the metal on his body, he forced his body to move away, dodging Chen Hui's sword. "Magneto, my sword, is not so easy to dodge." Chen Hui's faint voice sounded. The moment it sounded, he waved his palm, and a wave of anti-metal energy spread out, causing all the metal on Magneto's body to melt away. Including the metal components on the surface of its helmet, it also melted quickly and turned into liquid and flowed down. Magneto's body suddenly became unstable. Taking this opportunity, Chen Hui kicked the air with the sole of his foot. With a force of more than 100 tons, the air was directly exploded, and the reaction force gathered under his feet, making his figure flash again, and he came to Magneto, with the bone in his hand the sword, attacking without the slightest pause. Humph! Feeling the liquefaction of the metal, Magneto's face changed, but he remained calm. Do you think that I can't control the metal turning into a liquid with the power of antimetal? What a joke! Magneto snorted coldly, grabbed 037 with his hand, and immediately the liquid metal condensed. Although Chen Hui's antimetal power kept it in a liquid state, a large amount of condensation made the metal flow extremely dense, dragging catch Magneto's fallen body. At the same time, with a wave of Magneto's hand, the liquid metal immediately turned into a liquid shield, which made Chen Hui's sword that was slashing towards him immediately blocked. Chen Hui stared at this. But Magneto's action has not stopped. After blocking Chen Hui's attack, a sharp light flashed in his eyes, he flicked his fingers, and suddenly a drop of liquid metal, under his control, screamed at an extremely fast speed, and shot at Chen Hui violently. Go! Also, I want to tell you that even liquid metal is still extremely lethal. You are not my opponent at all. Magneto's voice sounded coldly. But before the words fell, his eyes narrowed, and he saw that at this moment, Chen Hui moved his palm, and a finger stretched out, followed by a phalanx, which exploded from it. Swish! Straight to supersonic. The liquid metal that came from the lasing was like a weak chicken, it was burst open in an instant, and the speed of the phalanx only slowed down a little, and then it rushed towards Magneto. Not good. Magneto's expression changed drastically. At this moment, he felt his life was threatened. Without the slightest hesitation, he controlled the liquid metal, causing his body to shift sideways rapidly. At the same time, due to the previous fall, his body was already very close to the roof, and he directly moved his hand grabbing. The roof on one side was lifted by him and blocked in front of him, causing Chen Hui's finger bones to collide with the roof. Magneto breathed a sigh of relief. But the breath hadn't been completely relaxed yet. With a whoosh, the finger bone passed through several layers of steel bars in the roof, brushed against his cheek, and shot straight into the ground, revealing a small black hole. Magneto's pupil shrank, and then he swallowed a mouthful of saliva, feeling lingering in fear. So perverted explosive power. Magneto was extremely shocked. At the moment, when he looked at Chen Hui, he no longer had the slightest contempt in his eyes, but was dignified as if he was facing a big enemy, and there was even a little bit of fear. You are powerful. Taking a deep breath, Magneto said slowly. But you are weak. Chen Hui was not polite at all, and said bluntly, Magneto, show your true skills, otherwise, if I miss you and kill you easily, that would be so boring. What do you think? Just like, Kfi, just now like that. Okay. Very good. You are crazy, but I am convinced by the crazy. Magneto suddenly laughed when he heard the words. Showing a heroic smile, with domineering, rampant, Magneto, a kind of inherent domineering. Chen Hui smiled when he saw this. He knows that this is the real Magneto. The Magneto who is about to show his true skills. A generation of heroes, a rampant overlord, a mutant villain leader who is extremely rebellious in his bones, and a super boss. That's who he really wants to fight against. Let's fight. Chen Hui's figure landed on the ground, fighting spirit rising in his heart. Without stopping for a moment, he lifted the bone sword, and there were bone spurs all over his body that were about to erupt, and he attacked Magneto. Magneto looked dignified, and when he raised his hand, the entire laboratory under him rioted, the wall cracked, and the metal inside, driving the entire laboratory, unexpectedly rose from the ground and flew up. With a wave of his hand. Immediately, the entire laboratory rushed towards Chen Hui who was rushing towards him. Chen Hui's face froze, anti-metal energy burst out from his body at this moment, turning all the metal in the laboratory into a liquid state. Humph, I've said it all, I can still control the metal into a liquid state, and still, can explode with powerful lethality. Your efforts are all in vain. Magneto snorted coldly. Under his control, the laboratory fell faster and more powerfully. The liquid metal in it, carrying bricks, tiles, cement and other materials, slammed down hard towards Chen Hui. Really? Chen Hui didn't panic at all, and sneered, then I don't know, How strong can you make gaseous metal have a killing history? As he said that, he stretched out his palm, and the chakra surged violently in his body, causing the anti-metal energy to run to the limit. Laugh. As soon as those liquid metals approached him, they immediately vaporized, and as for the materials of those cement bricks and tiles, he didn't need bone spurs on his body, and the venom battle suit could easily defend against them. Chi chi chi! Countless liquid metals were vaporizing. Magneto was stunned when he saw this scene. He didn't expect that Chen Hui's anti-metal power could actually vaporize the metal. And the gasification caused by this anti-metal force is equivalent to decomposing the metal elements, making it impossible for him to control it at all. How does this make him fight? Chapter 61. Whoosh! Vaporizing the liquid metal, Chen Hui's figure moved, bursting out with unparalleled power, and quickly approached Magneto. Magneto can control the incoming metal endlessly, but he does not have endless chakra to support him to vaporize the metal. In this regard, there is no need to be tough with Magneto, just get close to him and show his fighting skills with the advantage of power, that is the kingly way. Seeing Chen Hui attacking quickly, Magneto knew that he was not as good as the opponent in melee combat, so he manipulated the metal very simply, making himself fly high. Swish! Chen Hui jumped up in an instant, attacking relentlessly. Magneto manipulated the metal to attack him, and he directly used the ultimate anti-metal force to make the metal gas plus. I don't believe it, your anti-metal power is endless. Magneto became ruthless. This land is full of metal elements. The Earth is originally a big magnet. I don't believe that no matter how strong your anti-metal force is, you can still vaporize the entire Earth. As he said that, Magneto raised his hand, and a mysterious force burst out from his hand. The power of magnetism. Boom! Almost in the blink of an eye, the buildings around the laboratory were shattered. At the same time, the ground trembled, cracks opened, as if an earthquake had occurred, black tornadoes suddenly seeped out of those cracks, and the strong metal power crazy spread, making the whole sky dark in an instant. It was as if a doomsday disaster had occurred. This scene instantly attracted all the people in this area. They all stared at this scene dumbfounded, especially when they saw Magneto's figure. They all opened their eyes wide and exclaimed, then they ran around crazily. Gwen was also shocked by the scene, and Hammer and Whiplash were even more shocked in their hearts. It is really unimaginable how one person's strength can be so powerful. Okay. Chen Hui's expression froze. It seems that Magneto is zooming in. With such a strong metal power, he really couldn't vaporize it, so he simply restrained the anti-metal power. At the same time, PSST, vibranium bone spurs all over his body suddenly grew, dozens of them. Bone vein. Tang Song's dance. The vibraniumized bones already have extremely strong defense, not to mention dozens of vibranium bones spreading out from the whole body. Boom! The black tornado formed by the strong metal power was extremely fast, engulfing Chen Hui, who was in midair in an instant, and then ruthlessly fell to the ground, creating a big hole. But Chen Hui jumped out like a normal person, and at the same time raised the bone sword in his hand, and the vibranium bones twisted and twisted away one by one, making this bone sword instantly turn into a huge amounts of invincible spiral spear. Bone Meridian, Dance of Iron Flowers, Style of Flowers. Chen Hui's fighting spirit is very fierce at the moment, and at the same time, he has a faint feeling that his own strength can indeed be improved constantly like the Green Titan. It's just that the difference with the Green Titan is that the Green Titan uses anger to continuously increase his strength, while for Chen Hui, the stronger his fighting spirit, the stronger his strength. Hurricane fighting spirit, boiling power, coupled with his vibranium skeleton transformed into the strongest bone vein spear. At the moment Chen Hui's strength has already reached the level of 1000 tons. Step on the ground. Boom! A big crater burst out of the whole ground, followed by Chen Hui like a cannonball, raised the iron spear, and blasted towards Magneto at supersonic speed. Seeing this, Magneto's face changed wildly. With a movement of his hand, a black metal tornado hit Chen Hui. But Chen Hui's strength was too strong, the black metal tornado was torn apart with the movement of the spear in his hand, and his speed only slowed down a little. Magneto's face froze completely and became gloomy, but soon, a touch of madness emerged from his eyes. He raised his hand. Boom! 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 The earth vibrated violently, cracks spread one after another, and countless metal tornadoes erupted from it, rolling wildly across the sky, roaring, and bombarding Chen Hui crazily. The world, at this moment, is almost completely dimmed, like the night, like a natural disaster, like the end of the day. At this time, not only the people around, but also the entire Queen's district, and even people in New York noticed this scene, and their faces changed wildly. Seeing this, Chen Hui couldn't help but have more fighting spirit on his face, and when he laughed out loud, the iron thread flower spear in his hand, at this moment, a bright golden glow shone from the tip. Strength, at this moment, skyrocketed again, 1,500 tons, 2,000 tons, 2,500 tons, 3,000 tons. There was a slowdown until the moment of breaking through 3,000 tons. But at this moment, the tip of the iron flower spear, the golden light gathered by chakra's power, is as bright as the scorching sun. People in the distance can see the golden glow blooming in the darkness, and under the golden light, Chen Hui rushed towards Magneto at supersonic speed, colliding with countless metal tornadoes. Magneto's eyes contracted sharply. Seeing Chen Hui rushing towards him, and the metal tornadoes bursting, he couldn't imagine how a person could have such terrifying power. Zero, is his power limitless? No. How is this possible? On this earth, there is no one who can forcibly resist the magnetic force of the earth, not even himself. At this moment, unprecedented madness surged in Magneto's eyes. He grabbed it fiercely with both hands, and under his control, the countless metal tornadoes gushing out from the ground suddenly, all integrated together. It turned into an unprecedentedly huge tornado. There was even a faint trace of a dragon shape, roaring at Chen Hui, devouring it. Seeing this, Chen Hui's expression froze, and he felt a sense of suffocation in his heart at this moment. But this feeling of suffocation made the fighting spirit in his heart more surging and more violent. The last blow, let me see, Chen Hui, against the force of the Earth's magnetism, who is stronger or weaker? He let out a wild roar, seeing the huge monstrous metal tornado coming, he swung the strongest spear in his hand with all his might. Then the two collide. Boom! The world seems to have lost all sound at this moment. The whole of New York, oh no, it's not just New York anymore, the surrounding cities, and nearly 100 million people, at this moment see a golden light in the dark sky burst open. Then, a group of violent energy spread like crazy, with a deafening roar, making the whole sky, at this moment, seem to be torn apart. Everyone, at this moment, was dumbfounded. Chapter 62. Hiss. Hammer and Whiplash gasped, and looked up blankly at the light of the huge explosion high in the sky, feeling as if they were suffocating. Although they were brainwashed by the curse printing chip, they still had their own thinking. Now that they realized that Chen Hui's strength was so terrifying, they couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Fortunately, I belong to Chen Hui, otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. I admired Chen Hui even more in my heart, and the last trace of resistance in my subconscious completely disappeared. Gwen, on the other hand, had a small face full of worry. She suddenly focused her eyes and saw a figure falling from the sky. She raised her hand, her delicate body flickered, and then moved over in an instant. I saw that there was already a deep pit of 310, and a figure was faintly visible in the smoke and dust. Gwen hurried over. I saw Chen Hui crawling out of the big pit at this moment. His face was covered with dust, and the venom battle suit was stretched on his body, and it was even a little damaged, which seemed to be quite damaged. However, Chen Hui didn't have the slightest injury on his body, he was just a little embarrassed. Seeing Gwen approaching now, he couldn't help laughing and said, "Haha, it's really cool. This battle is the most enjoyable one since I got the superpower. Magneto is worthy of being the leader of the Mutant Brotherhood. This guy is so powerful in arousing the power of magnetism in such a small area now, if you give him enough time to induce a large-scale magnetic force, then it's hard to say who will win." Gwen didn't expect Chen Hui to reminisce about the previous battle when he came out, and he couldn't help being speechless. Turning a blind eye, Chen Hui said, "It seems that in addition to studying Madman, you have to add another nickname, called Fighting Madman." Haha. Chen Hui laughed when he heard the words, "I'm really sorry Gwen, I already have this nickname, don't you wonder that Peter and Harry don't like to come to me?" "Okay." Gwen said helplessly, and checked Chen Hui again, and found that there was really no injury to the product, so she was relieved. Suddenly remembered something, Gwen said, "By the way, where is Magneto?" "Oh, by the way, if you don't say it, I'll forget about him. If I can get Magneto's X gene, maybe I can enhance my anti-metal ability." Chen Hui looked around, but didn't find any sign of Magneto. I searched carefully again, and even asked Hammer to send people to search in all directions, but I still couldn't find it. In desperation, I finally gave up. Gwen, let's go. There is such a fierce battle here, and the government and a lot of secret organizations will come to investigate soon. Chen Hui said. It is good. Gwen nodded, raising her hand. Swish. The figures of the two disappeared instantly. At the moment, Hammer led his men to search everywhere, but after finding no trace of Magneto, under Chen Hui's instruction, he prepared to retreat and leave. Hurry up, leave quickly, people from the government are coming. Yes. Wow. A group of people quickly walked past a pile of ruins. And on the stone pile, an old man with white hair and blood on his face woke up leisurely. He was taken aback when he saw a group of people walking in front of him, because the group of people didn't seem to notice his appearance, and even a man in a suit wearing glasses walked around in front of him, looked carefully, but still did not find him, and finally left. This old man was Magneto. He was slightly taken aback, followed by a helpless smile on his face. Old friend, are you going to see my joke? When will you see it? As his voice fell, the surroundings became slightly silent. Followed by a voice with a smile sounded. Eric, if you think this is a joke, then I may remind you that you should take this as a lesson. 3 figures walked out from the smoke. The figure in the middle is an old man in a wheelchair and wearing a suit. Although he doesn't have a single hair on his head, he looks very wise, especially his eyes. Sometimes, it seems to be able to see through people's minds, always with a kind smile. This person is Magneto's old friend, the leader of X-Men Professor X, Charles Xavier. On both sides of Professor X, one is Cyclops and the other is Storm. Really? Magneto said with a cold smile, Charles, perhaps, I should have another choice, which is to regard this as a new continent. On Earth, the birth of such a heavyweight might attract your attention. After all, the opponent's destructive power is amazing, and it has not yet been determined whether it is a mutant. Yes, this is a new continent. Professor X smiled slightly, but Eric, I won't mess with people I shouldn't, but you, this time, dared to kidnap the senator, which caused extremely serious damage to our mutant's reputation. Once, you should first reflect on your sins. As soon as the voice fell on January 6th, Cyclops walked out with Storm to help the seriously injured Magneto up. So, Eric, come with me to Congress. Almost at the same moment, in New Mexico, tens of thousands of miles away, in a large desert, armed vehicles could be seen coming and going one after another. The destination the car is driving to can be seen in the distance, which is a huge amounts of desert pit. A capable middle-aged man with slightly bald forehead and wearing a suit stood on a high ground, looked back at the huge amounts of desert pit, picked up his mobile phone, and made a call. Sir, we found it. Chapter 63. Okay, now that we've found it, seal off that area immediately. A calm man's voice came through the phone, Phil Coulson, I'll be over soon. Yes, sir. About an hour later, a plane appeared over the desert in New Mexico, and when it landed on the ground, a burly black bald man came down from it. He was wearing a black fur coat, with his left eye covered with a black eye patch. The whole person looked over, exuding an extremely aggressive aura. This, without a doubt, is the current director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury. Nick Fury soon arrived in front of the huge amounts of desert pit, where a blockade had already been preliminarily set up. In the blockade, Phil Coulson was directing it. When he saw Fury coming, he immediately came to greet him. Sir, I have to say that your actions are still as fast as ever. Phil Coulson smiled and said, we have blocked things, let me take you to C-22. It is good. Fury nodded, and immediately came to a high platform with Phil Coulson, and below, on a raised rock, there was a hammer staying quietly on it at the moment. In addition, a group of people surrounded them, firmly imprisoned a device similar to a crane to the hammer, and with the surge of the electric current, the device was activated immediately. The device quickly ran to its limit. But the hammer still stayed on the rock, motionless, until the power of the device was overloaded and completely scrapped. It still did not move at all. Seeing this scene, the corners of Fury's mouth twitched slightly. He looked at Phil Coulson. How much information about this hammer have you collected? A lot of. Phil Coulson said, but most of it is useless. The most useful information to us is a Norse mythology legend, which tells that the eldest son of the father of god Odin, Thor, holds Mjolnir somewhat similar to this hammer. Hearing this, Fury raised his eyebrows thoughtfully. Maybe this hammer, maybe it really could be Thor's hammer. Fury said slowly, by the way, regarding the formation of Avengers, I have already been to Tony Stark, and he said he would consider it. And recommended someone to me. Oh. Phil Coulson said, would it be his savior, a 16-year-old genius in biology and medicine, Dr. Chen Hui? Good. Fury said, this Dr. Chen Hui is very interesting. He seems to be able to study a human body strengthening drug without side effects. I speculate that he should also give himself to strengthening, although Tony Stark did not tell me the specific details of this Dr. Chen Hui, but we can conduct investigations from the relatives and friends around Dr. Chen Hui, Spider-Man Peter Parker, and Harry Osborn, the actual person in charge of the Osborn Company, are all good friends of Dr. Chen Hui. But, these are not the key. Fury said, with an interesting smile on the corner of his mouth. I handed over all the information about this Dr. Chen Hui to the analysis department, and finally they came to a conclusion that this Dr. Chen Hui can be regarded as the fifth smartest person in the world. Oh? The fifth smartest person in the world? Phil Coulson asked in surprise. This is a conclusion based on the incomplete information of this Dr. Chen Hui. If we can get all his information and analyze it again, I am afraid the ranking should not be too high. Will it go up to another level? Good. Fury nodded and said, so, I am very looking forward to this Dr. Chen Hui. You can find an opportunity to contact him. Remember, don't startle the snake. I will send Natasha Romanoff to go with you. No problem, sir. About a week later, Chen Hui's lab reopened. Since the full skeleton vibranium plan has been completed, his A-plan Concept 1, integrating metal elements, was a complete success, and Chen Hui began to prepare for the A-plan Concept 2. The bone is detached and grown in vitro, spreading into a field of bony spurs, even a sea of bones. In fact, this is similar to Jun Mao's ultimate move, Zhao Fern Dance. But Chen Hui's ambition is a bit bigger. He wants to turn the bone spur into a field, or even a piece of bone and each bone in it, although it is out of his body, but with a move of his mind. By being involved with chakra, he can manipulate it at will, and even carry out bone reorganization, decomposition, and ablation. You don't even need to use chakra, just psychic energy to do all of this. And in this way, he can also perform tricks similar to killing the ashes together, and at the same time prevent his bones from being used by others for research and making weapons. After all, his bones already have the texture of vibranium, so he can't just throw them around. Now he can activate the osteoclasts in his body that are strengthened by vibranium elements and integrate them into chakras to decompose his bones, but there are several testosterone restrictions. Once the bone spur spreads over a large area, he can't decompose it at will, unless his chakra power increases again, and he can spread, and retract through mental power. I remember that chakra cultivation is not just a kind of cellular energy, but also a collection of spiritual power. Chen Hui thought, although I use the arc reaction to collide with new elements and vibranium elements, basically directly producing chakra from the cells, but part of it also strengthens my spiritual power, making my spiritual power comparable to that of chakra. Carrot had a tinge of connection. Chen Hui recalled the scene when the full skeleton vibranium project was just successful, and with a thought, he retracted the diffused chakra energy. This is mind control. I think I should be able to integrate chakra and spiritual power through special spiritual cultivation, and even make my spiritual power produce metamorphosis and become stronger. Chen Hui thought, in this way, I don't have to be afraid mental, or spiritual attack. Just thinking about it, suddenly a secret email came. It's a stranger's message email. Hey? It's strange, except for Tony and Hammer, no one seems to know the address of my secret email. Chen Hui was puzzled, and opened the email. I saw only one line of text on the email, Dr. Chen Hui, I'm Bruce Banner, I need your help. Chapter 64. Dr. Banner. Chen Hui's eyes moved. After the success of the whole skeleton vibranium project, he asked Tony about Banner, and Tony told him that Banner had disappeared for more than 5 months. In other words, since he started working on the full skeleton vibranium project, Banner has been missing. Chen Hui immediately realized that Banner's identity should have been exposed. In order to avoid being captured by the military, he may have left the United States completely. Where are you? Chen Hui sent back a message. I'm in Arlington, Virginia. Banner echoed the message. Oh. Chen Hui's heart skipped a beat. It seems that Banner has returned to the United States, and Arlington is the place where he used to work, and it was there that Banner turned into a Green Titan due to an accident in the experiment. By the way, Arlington is just across the river from Washington, very close. The famous Pentagon, the U.S. Department of Defense, is here. General Ross, who has been trying to capture the Green Titan, is in the Pentagon. Now that Banner has returned to Arlington, it means that once he is found, it will be a matter of minutes, the rhythm of being surrounded by a large wave of stars. Chen Hui was about to send another message, but suddenly Banner sent another email. Chen Hui opened it. I saw that there was actually a video file in this email. As soon as he opened the video, a strange man's face popped out of it. Chen Hui was taken aback when he saw this, and when he was wondering if he opened it in the wrong way, the strange man said, "Dr. Chen Hui, right? I've heard of you for a long time. Let me introduce myself. I'm Professor Stern from Carlsbad University. I've been helping Mr. Banner to research the medicine to cure him. However, in some key places of biological genetics, we encountered some troubles. Mr. Banner originally planned to try to see if it could be cured, but when I found out that he actually knew you, I temporarily stopped the experiment without hesitation. To be honest, Dr. Chen Hui, I'm actually your big fan. I would like to invite you to come to Carroll University to study with me and improve our healing method. I wonder if Dr. Chen Hui can do you a favor." After speaking, Stern briefly introduced his idea of curing Banner. Seeing this, Chen Hui's eyes flickered slightly. This Professor Stern, he remembered, is a very smart person, and he is also a geek. The Green Titan's opponent, Abomination, was created by him through the gene duplication city of the Green Pool people. But speaking of hate, Chen Hui was actually very disdainful in his heart. In his opinion, Abomination is a variant of the combination of many unfavorable factors in the Green Titan gene. It is a failed work. What Dr. Chen Hui has done is to extract the essence of the Green Titan gene. This essence is the most precious ingredient in the Green Titan gene. Humans possess extraordinary powers. And, most importantly, it won't turn into a monster at every turn. But right now his Green Titan gene sample has been used up. If he wants to extract the Green Titan gene essence again, save it for later use, or use it for his close ones, he has to go to Banner to extract it again. Originally, Chen Hui still had some headaches when Banner disappeared, but now he came to find him on his own initiative, and wanted to research a cure. It was definitely a good opportunity to extract a blood gene sample. "Okay, no problem, I'll be there soon." Chen Hui smiled and agreed immediately. Virginia, Arlington, Carl Verde University. Haha. Great, Dr. Chen Hui, he agreed. In the laboratory, a man shouted excitedly at the computer. He is Chen Hui's loyal fan who helped Banner research the healing potion. Professor Stern. Beside Professor Stern, there were two people standing, one was Banner, and the other was a tall and beautiful woman who was very close to Banner. Her name was Betty Ross, and she was the daughter of General Ross. Is also Banner's girlfriend. At this moment, Betty looked at Professor Stern's excited appearance, and couldn't help being a little speechless. "Professor Stern, I can understand your feelings as a fan, but Dr. Chen Hui is far away in Queens, New York. How long can he get there? You know, here we may be discovered and attacked at any time, so we must complete the cure experiment as soon as possible. I want to live a normal life with Banner, and I don't want Banner to be hunted down by my father again." "Betty, I can understand your feelings, but if we want the experiment to succeed, with Dr. Chen Hui, we will be more confident. After all, we only have one chance. Once we fail, gamma rays will be sharply enhanced and can easily be detected by the military." Banner sighed. "Also, Miss Ross, you don't have to worry about the speed of Dr. Chen Hui. He is the chief scientific advisor of Hammer Industries, and as far as I know, just, Zhao Li's, Ting Hammer respects him very much. If you want to come to Arlington, take the private jet of Hammer Industries, the judgment will be very fast." Professor Stern smiled and said that he was happy when he thought of Chen Hui coming. "Okay." Betty said helplessly, "Anyway, now we can only wait." Before I knew it, it was night. The three of them were discussing some issues about the cure experiment, but they didn't notice that on the building outside the laboratory, black shadows were moving their noses. And in an armored vehicle in the distance, General Ross looked indifferent, looking at the screen in front of him. The figure of the three Banners in the laboratory snorted coldly, "Look for the opportunity to aim at the target, and be sure to subdue the target. Yes. Chapter 65. In the dark night, under the cold twilight, a sniper rifle is lifted up, like a poisonous snake in the shadows raising its head, ready to deliver a fatal blow at any time. At this moment, in the laboratory, the three of Banner didn't know anything, and they were still discussing the detailed steps of the cure experiment. General Ross stared coldly at Banner's figure on the screen in the armored vehicle. Are the snipers ready? The target is constantly shaking, which has caused some obstacles to aiming, and it will take some time. Okay, once you aim, attack immediately, no direct orders from me are needed. Understood, sir. After giving the order, General Ross took a deep breath, continued to stare at Banner's figure on the screen, with a stern look in his eyes. Banner, this time, I will catch you no matter what. Boom boom boom. At this moment, a dull roar sounded suddenly, which sounded like the sound of an airplane. General Ross was taken aback, then picked up the communicator. What's going on outside? Reporting, sir. Well, it seems that a private plane has landed. Looking at the logo on the plane, it seems to be a private plane of Hammer Industries. Hammer Industries private jet. General Ross frowned when he heard this. Why did the people from Hammer Industry come here? And it's a private jet, could it be that Justin Hammer is here? No, it's not, sir. The person 137 seems to be the chief scientific advisor of Hammer Industries, the savior of Iron Man, the top 10 cover figures of New York Magazine this year, Dr. Chen Hui. My God! It's Dr. Chen Hui, and I'm his fan. There was an exclamation from the communicator. Watch your words and deeds, soldier. General Ross said coldly, then frowned. It turned out that Dr. Chen Hui, who has been in the limelight recently, has arrived, and things are a little difficult to handle now. As long as Dr. Chen Hui is present, no matter what happens, it will be hyped by the media immediately, not to mention that a secret operation to capture the Green Titan is about to take place here. As long as people know that Chen Hui is here, absolutely overnight, his secret arrest operation will make the headlines of tomorrow's morning paper. This is the power of star power. Xi, absolutely don't let others know about Chen Hui's appearance here. Moreover, Chen Hui suddenly came to Arlington, and he knew with his feet that he must be looking for Banner. Once Banner reaches Hammer Industries, it will be difficult for him to arrest him. Thinking of this, General Ross's eyes flashed sharply, and he picked up the communicator and ordered, snipers are always ready. In addition, prepare a small team to arrest Dr. Chen Hui, quickly. But, sir, this Dr. Chen Hui. Soldier, do you want my order? No, dare not. Then don't act quickly. Yes, sir. Soon a small team set off quickly, heading towards the place where the private plane landed. And almost at the same time, the sniper in the dark opened fire, an anesthetic tube broke through the window, and shot at Banner, who was talking, causing him to tremble all over, and then his body went limp. Bruise! Betty exclaimed, and quickly helped Banner, who fell to the ground. Oh shit! Professor Stern also exclaimed, looking at the situation. He didn't know that the government military had arrived. And when they were at a loss, suddenly the door of the laboratory was kicked open, and a heavily armed special soldier strode over. When he saw Banner lying limp on the ground, his eyes showed fierceness, and he walked straight forward. Grabbed the pass towards Banner. Brinsky, what do you want? As soon as Betty saw this person, she quickly stopped in front of Banner. Get out of here. This Brinsky is exactly the hate, who has always been eager to defeat the Green Titan. It can even be said that this guy is a vicious and brutal fighting maniac. Definitely, now he has not become an abomination. Seeing Betty standing in front of him, he yelled, raised his hand and pushed Betty to the ground, then grabbed Banner viciously, and shouted, Come on! Come on! Call me out, I want to fight with it. Fight, call it out for me. Banner was anesthetized at the moment, his body was limp, and he couldn't exert any strength, but when he saw Brinsky push Betty down, the veins on his arm suddenly popped up, and a green light flashed in his eyes. You PS me off. At this moment, as the private plane got off, Chen Hui waved his hand to signal the plane to leave. After the plane left, he sighed softly, then looked helplessly outside the campus of Carlford University, and at the same time looked in the direction of the laboratory on the campus, with a helpless look on his face. It really doesn't make people calm down for a moment. I will be attacked by government troops as soon as I get off the plane. Not to mention, Banner has transformed again. Chen Hui suddenly felt that he came here specially to clean up the mess. But that's okay, my full skeleton vibranium project has been successful, so I simply took this opportunity to directly bring the Green Titan, oh no, Dr. Banner to my laboratory, and help me carry out the Plan A Concept 2 together. Research, after all, Dr. Banner's IQ is extremely high, not much worse than mine. In this way, I can obtain the Green Titan gene at any time, and I can also get a good helper, which is undoubtedly killing two birds with one stone. After researching to this point, Chen Hui found that if he has been researching alone, there are many things that need to waste a lot of time to sort out, but if there is a helper, it will be different. And he is looking for a helper. Dr. Banner is undoubtedly the most suitable, not only knowledgeable, smart, but most importantly, with Dr. Banner, he is equivalent to having a treasure trove of Green Titan genes. Although Chen Hui has made great achievements in researching the Green Titan gene, if it is said that the research is thorough, he is still not so loud. Definitely, it will take a lot of effort to convince Banner to accept the fact that he is a Green Titan, and with Banner's character, it is very likely that he will continue to choose to escape from reality and refuse to work with Chen Hui on research. For this, Chen Hui already has a preliminary plan in mind. This solution is actually very simple to say, it is to capture Banner's desire to become a normal person all the time, and tell Banner that Chen Hui has a way to solve his rampage. Even if he transforms, he can control his emotions. As for losing my mind, definitely, Chen Hui has only half researched the method of controlling emotions for the time being, but it is enough to seduce Banner. Thinking of this, Chen Hui's whole body was covered by the venom battle suit, and soon turned into a black windbreaker, covering his face, followed by the figure, and quickly walked towards the laboratory. Chapter 66. Chen Hui just approached the lab. Boom. Suddenly the window burst open, along with the wall also cracked, followed by a figure that was blasted out like a cannonball. Pong! It hit the wall of another laboratory building and slowly fell down. Okay. Chen Hui moved his eyes and approached quickly, and saw a man dressed as a special soldier lying on the ground like a dead dog, his eyes fixed on the top, his expression full of unwillingness. This guy should be an abomination, right? Chen Hui had a slight guess in his mind. Roar! At the same time, the roar of the Green Titan came from above. The moment the roar fell, I saw the huge amount of figure of the Green Titan stepping on the cracked window wall, jumping down with a bang, and coming straight towards Brisky. Seeing Chen Hui's figure in a black windbreaker, the Green Titan paused for a moment and froze for a moment, but followed with a faster speed and directly savagely charged towards Chen Hui and Brisky. Come over. Humph. Seeing this, Chen Hui felt a fighting spirit in his heart, wanting to see how his strength compares to the Green Titan. So he directly raised his hand, and at the moment when the Green Titan slammed into him, he exerted a strong force. Boom! The dull crashing sound erupted at this moment. The ground under Chen Hui's feet suddenly sank, cracking like a spider's web, but his whole body remained motionless, sticking to the ground like a nail, forcibly withstood the Green Titan's attack. Brisky's face was already full of despair, knowing that he was bound to die, but when he saw this scene, he was shocked suddenly and opened his eyes wide. Green Titan was also taken aback. This collision, he didn't feel like he was colliding with a person, but colliding with a copper wall tens of meters thick, which made him stagger slightly. But at the next moment, the Green Titan roared, his body was soaring with anger, he raised his huge fist, and smashed towards Chen Hui like a hammer. The soaring power directly set off a sonic boom, which instantly exceeded 1,000 tons, shaking the air explodes. Seeing this, Brisky's face suddenly changed wildly, and he got up with the last bit of strength in his body, and fled crazily towards the distance like a ghost. Chen Hui's face was solemn, but what was more important was the fighting spirit that burst out from his eyes at this moment. Seeing the Green Titan's iron fist blasting towards him, his fighting spirit was soaring, the spear of the iron thread flower instantly condensed from his right hand, and the chakra burst out even more, bursting into golden light. Next moment, they collided violently with the Green Titan's iron fist. Boom! At this moment, the ground trembled violently, and even a circle of energy fluctuations visible to the naked eye spread out. The wall of the experimental building next to it, under the force of this collision, was actually shaken to burst and turned into ruins. What an astonishing scene! Just how amazing! This! My God, who is this person, who can actually face the transformed Banner head to head? Is this still a human? When Betty and Professor Stern saw this scene, they were both stunned. The two of them were above, just in time to see this shocking battle. Especially Professor Stern, as a researcher, he really understands the horror of the Green Titan. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, it would be hard for him to imagine that a person who looks very small can actually be with the Green Titan. Head to head. It's incredible. General Ross was dumbfounded when he saw this scene on the screen, but when he noticed Chen Hui's outfit in a black windbreaker and a spiral spear in his hand, his eyes flashed sharply, as if he had thought of something. This person, I have the impression that when the big explosion happened over New York, it seems that it was because this person had a big fight with Magneto. Banner, I must catch it. But if I can still catch this person and obtain his genes. General Ross narrowed his eyes. Followed without hesitation ordered. Mobilize all forces to capture the target. In addition, this mysterious man who suddenly appeared must also be captured. Where is Brinsky? Sir, Brinsky can't be contacted now. Oh yes, the team didn't find Dr. Chen Hui, and the private plane also left. Oh? Really? Maybe Dr. Chen Hui found the Green Titan and ran away in fright. General Ross showed disdain in his eyes. Don't worry about this Dr. Chen Hui, let the team rush to the scene now, and contact the Alpha team, air support, stand by at any time, and attack. Yes. In an instant, all the soldiers ambushing around were mobilized, and the sound of helicopters could be faintly heard in the distance, and armored vehicles frantically drove into the campus of Carlford University to evacuate and seal off the scene. Miss Ross, let's leave as soon as possible. Professor Stern saw the army approaching in the distance, and looked at the Green Titan and the mysterious man in the black windbreaker below who were fighting in full swing, and hurriedly said to Betty. It is good. Betty nodded. Immediately, the two ran towards the outside of the laboratory, but before running for a while, suddenly a man covered in blood rushed over. This person was Brinsky, who had fled back in a frenzy. When he saw Betty and Professor Stern, he was taken aback for a moment, but then a wolf-like fierce light appeared in his eyes, and a smirk appeared at the corner of his mouth. Professor Stern, Miss Ross, I think I need you to do me a little favor. Chapter 67. This night, for Arlington, was destined to be a restless night. Under the control of the army, the Carlford University campus had already been blocked and evacuated, but with the influx of troops, countless people were attracted by the scene, and they gathered from far or near. When they saw the battle between Chen Hui and the Green Titan from a distance, they all gasped. My God! It's that huge green monster again. After disappearing for more than 5 months, it reappeared. What the hell is this monster? Didn't the military say that the monster has been subdued? Why is it reappearing now? Could it be that the military lied to us? Look, the monster is fighting a man. Is it a superhero? It should be a superhero, but I don't know which one it is. Hey? This superhero seems familiar to me. I see. Wearing a black windbreaker, isn't he the same black-clothed swordsman who appeared at the Monaco Racing Conference? Yes. It seems to be the swordsman in black, but the spiral spear weapon in his hand looks a bit like the mysterious hero who fought against Magneto in the air not long ago. Could it be that the mysterious hero, and the swordsman in black, is the same person? Possible. That's great, with this powerful superhero, we don't have to worry about this monster destroying everywhere. People were constantly talking about it. When they recognized Chen Hui, they couldn't help cheering. Many people picked up their mobile phones to take pictures from a distance, and even a few desperately approached the battle scene quietly, wanting to get close shooting battle. Alpha Squad, Air Bombing Squad, Sonic Cannon Attack Squad, listen to my orders, and be ready to enter the battle at any time. General Ross picked up the communicator and quickly issued an order. Following his orders one after another, armored vehicles drove into the battle scene. All of them were elite fighters holding heavy weapons, tanks could even be seen approaching in the distance, and bombing helicopters surprised in the air. Flying in a sudden, the momentum is overwhelming, and the firepower is so powerful that it can almost form a small battle. In addition, the most striking thing is several armored vehicles with a peculiar sonic device, driving at the end, and quickly hid in the shadows, looking like they are ready to attack at any time. Boom! At this moment, at the scene of the battle, Chen Hui collided with the Green Titan with a punch, and the violent force exploded, the air was shaken and exploded, and Chen Hui's windbreaker flew wildly in the strong wind after colliding with the Green Titan with a punch. His body retreated suddenly, but he didn't retreat far. Instead, he punched forward again as if accumulating strength. P. The power of this punch is so powerful that the speed of the burst in an instant is actually directly at the level of supersonic speed. Even with the bravery and fearlessness of the Green Titan, facing Chen Hui's punch, he didn't choose to block it hard, but directly grabbed it with his big hand, lifted a huge rock slab on the ground, and threw it directly at Chen Hui. No wonder Green Titan didn't choose to confront him head-on. What is the key factor that determines who is stronger and who is weaker between fists and flesh and blood? It's not how strong you are. It's how hard your bones are. How strong is your defensibility? In this regard, Chen Hui has a big advantage. His bones are originally extremely strong, and now they have been transformed into vibranium. What is vibranium? It is almost the most stable substance in the entire Marvel universe, and it can absorb huge amounts of power. But it is still as strong as before, and there will be no damage in the slightest. So, to put it bluntly, Chen Hui's current level of endurance is at the level of supreme invincible, extreme, monster, and pervert. He can unscrupulously use all his power without worrying about how much damage he will cause to his body. Not only that, even if he is injured, the powerful self-healing ability can quickly revive him with full blood and strong vitality. It's downright scary. But the Green Titan is different. Although he is strong, even strictly speaking, he is much stronger than Chen Hui, but his original defense ability is not as good as Chen Hui's. Over time, under the constant confrontation between the two, Chen Hui is still as lively as before, but it's only going to get worse. As long as time passes, the Green Titan will definitely be defeated by Chen Hui's men. However, if we want to really decide the winner, even if we fight for 3 days and 3 nights, the time may not be enough. But no matter what, I really enjoyed this battle. I will fight Banner in the future. The doctor recruited my laboratory to help him control his emotions, and he had to transform into a Green Titan to fight me from time to time. Chen Hui thought to himself. Prepare to fight while attracting the Green Titan to leave here with him. Now that the army has surrounded him, he fought the Green Titan on the spur of the moment, wanting to test how his strength compares to the Green Titan. Now that the goal has been achieved, there is no point in continuing the fight. Not a few steps away, though. Suddenly, in an experimental building behind him, a violent roar erupted suddenly. The roar was so strong that it shook the heavens and the earth, followed by a huge figure rushing out of the building, looking towards Chen Hui and the Green Titan. Okay. Chen Hui frowned. This huge figure is an ugly monster with all the bones exposed, and there are saber-toothed vertebrae protruding from the back. Seeing him and the Green Titan, a cruel light appeared in his eyes, and a ferocious smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Walked over step by step. The battle between the two of you, I think, needs another one to come in. Chapter 68. Abomination. Seeing that ugly monster approaching, Chen Hui was slightly taken aback with a sinister smile on his lips. Isn't that what hatred is? Undoubtedly, it should be Brinsky who escaped to Professor Stern while he was fighting with the Green Titan, and then threatened Professor Stern to inject him with the gene of the Green Titan, and finally transformed into Abomination. Brinsky is an out-and-out fighting maniac. He must have been ashamed to be scared away by the Green Titan before, especially when he saw that such a little person as Chen Hui could go head-to-head with the Green Titan. At this moment, he transformed into an abomination, and his strength increased greatly. With his toes, he knew that this guy must have a revenge, not only defeated the Green Titan, but also defeated him Chen Hui, to prove that he hates 377. Your strength is the strongest. Chen Hui understood the hatred very well. It's a pity, this guy is thinking too much. Both of you will be defeated by me. Suffer death. With a howl in his mouth, the loathing leaped high and followed the whole person like a giant cannonball, rushing towards it so fast that the air exploded. Boom! It hit the Green Titan all at once. At the same time, there was a cruel and bloodthirsty light in his eyes, a big hand was raised abruptly, and it was grabbed towards Chen Hui. It seemed that he was not only trying to knock the Green Titan away, but also wanting to kill him cleanly. This little thing Chen Hui was crushed and turned into a pool of rotten meat. At this moment, the feeling of hatred is extremely comfortable, I have to say, the feeling of being strong is really good. However, his wonderful feeling didn't last long, and he suddenly froze. Because when he knocked down the Green Titan, he felt as if he had hit a huge amount of iron pillar. The Green Titan was almost motionless, but it was him. Suddenly I was horrified. But that wasn't what baffled him the most. The worst thing was his huge palm that was grabbing Chen Hui. At this moment, he suddenly felt a sharp pain. When he looked over, his pupils shrank violently, and he saw that his palm was actually pierced by dozens of bone spurs. On the bone spur, a strong golden light surged, which made one's heart palpitate. This scene made his mind go crazy. Without the slightest hesitation, he wanted to let go of his palm pierced by the bone spur, however, too late. Blast me! A cold drink sounded in Chen Hui's mouth. Following all the chakras rushing into the bone spur, the radioactive energy originally contained on the bone spur began to run wildly, turning into a sharp energy ray, and immediately, the palm of the abomination pierced by the bone spur, the flesh and blood were cut open, causing his palm to be torn apart in the blink of an eye, and even completely melted in the energy light. What? Hate let out a scream. The body suddenly retreated, followed by trembling, eyes full of disbelief, looking at the Green Titan and Chen Hui. Especially when looking at Chen Hui, his eyes were full of horror. You, how did you? How can it be so strong? Chen Hui said with a light smile, actually, the reason is very simple, because you are too weak. Roar! At this time, the Green Titan also growled, Hulk, stronger than you. He was despised by two people at the same time, and he couldn't resist at all. For a moment, he hated and felt like he was about to cry. Why? Why? No matter how weak he is, it is impossible for him to be abused to this extent by two people, right? In fact, those who hate being abused are not wronged at all. You must know that Chen Hui and the Green Titan have been fighting for a while. Both Chen Hui's fighting spirit and the Green Titan's anger have reached an extremely powerful level. It is no exaggeration to say that the two of them at this moment, it's at its peak. As for the abomination, although his strength was stronger than the Green Titan at the beginning, and much stronger, but it could not increase with the increase of anger but always remained at a fixed value. Use a very simple metaphor. The Green Titan and Chen Hui are like a high-power rechargeable battery, the charge capacity, almost unlimited. An abomination is just a large battery with a fixed value. If Chen Hui and the Green Titan hadn't been warmed up for battle, and their fighting spirit and anger weren't strong, then the abomination could be evenly matched with the two of them. But at the moment, it can only be said that the timing of hate entering the battlefield is too bad. It is normal to be abused. Bang 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 bang. Just at the time of hatred and grief, suddenly several bombing helicopters in the air opened fire. Even at this moment, one after another armored vehicles were coming, and the soldiers on them picked up their machine guns and swept them violently. Being attacked suddenly, Hate was stunned for a moment, and then unparalleled anger surged on his face. He suddenly looked at the soldiers who were attacking, with a tyrannical light in his eyes. Even you guys want to abuse me? Court death! Boom! Resenting a rush, he went directly to the crazy attack of the army. Seeing that he couldn't beat Chen Hui and the Green Titan, at the moment he actually went to pick a soft persimmon. Seeing this, Chen Hui was speechless. But hating things with the army has nothing to do with him. And it's a good thing to have hatred blocking the army, at least he doesn't have to bother these people from the government military for the time being. Following, Chen Hui looked at the Green Titan. We have to find a way to recover this big guy, otherwise it's not easy to take away. Suddenly, his eyes moved, and he looked at the previous experimental building. I saw Professor Stern and Betty coming out of it. Professor Stern looked like he wanted to run away quickly, while Betty ran straight over after seeing the Green Titan. Miss Ross, it's dangerous here, we'd better hurry to a safe place. Professor Stern said quickly. No, I'm going to Bruce's side. Betty gritted her teeth, and immediately accelerated her pace. Seeing this, Professor Stern hesitated for a moment, finally sighed, and rushed after Betty. However, the two of them hadn't run for a while, when suddenly a figure landed in front of them. You two, do you need a ride? Chen Hui looked at the two with a smile in his eyes. Chapter 69. 3 days have passed since the riots in Arlington. To be honest, hatred is still very strong, but it just happened to meet Chen Hui and the Green Titan who are at the peak of combat power, so they will be abused. Therefore, the hatred that cannot be expressed in anger can only be abused by the government and military. It's just that the government isn't really a persimmon. Rabbits will bite people when they are in a hurry. Once they are pushed into a hurry, they will use any means. Soon the riots caused by hatred subsided, and people returned to normal life. This day, Virginia, Department of Defense, Pentagon. General Ross, there is a man who wants to see you. He claims to be your old friend, and his name is Nick Fury. A woman in military uniform with an excellent figure put down the coffee in her hand and said to General Ross, who was processing documents. "Oh? Nick Fury." General Ross looked up, his eyes sparkled. "Then you tell him, I will wait for him in the reception hall in an hour." "General Ross, don't be so polite. I'm here on 22. I mainly want to introduce someone to you and talk about some things. I will leave soon." Suddenly the door of the office opened, and a burly black man in a black fur coat and a black blindfold on his left eye walked in. "It's the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury." "Nick, you trespassed on the Ministry of Defense building. I have the right to order you to be arrested directly." General Ross frowned, looking at Nick Fury. His expression was not very good. "Hee, General Ross, I think that based on your current situation, you should not have the right to mobilize any troops to arrest a commander of an international security organization. Especially this commander, because of your stupid behavior 3 days ago, a wiper." Nick Fury smiled slightly. "Okay, let's not talk nonsense, let's talk about serious business." General Ross took a deep breath when he heard this, and stared at Nick Fury with a slight flicker. "What do you want to talk about?" "Oh, General Ross, I have to say you're enjoying life." At this moment, a light voice sounded, followed by a man wearing sunglasses and a casual suit walked in from the door. He looked at the assistant next to General Ross, shrugged his shoulders and said, "What else can compare to the comfortable life of having a beautiful military lady who delivers coffee to me every day? General Ross, I see that your complexion is not very good. Is that not enough space recently?" "You?" General Ross's expression darkened when he saw this man, especially when he heard the other person's words. "Tony Stark, I think you should pay attention to your wording when you speak." "Hee, sorry, General Ross, I think you may have misunderstood me." Tony chuckled, then pointed to his own mind and said, "I didn't mean you enough, it's this place, where did you think of?" General Ross's expression became even more unsightly. "Okay, Stark, although General Ross' recent actions are somewhat unwise, any individual will inevitably make mistakes." Nick Fury said indifferently, looking at General Ross, "So, now I have a way to correct my mistake. I don't know if you, General Ross, are you interested in listening?" "Oh." General Ross calmed down upon hearing this. Glancing at the female assistant. The female assistant understood, stepped out and closed the door. At this time, Nick Fury's voice sounded slowly, "This method is very simple. I have an idea to gather those with abilities in the world to form an alliance. Hulk is one of our goals. At the moment, in Queens, New York." "Wow, Dr. Chen Hui, this is your laboratory." Professor Stern stared at each of the sophisticated instruments, his eyes were straightened, and there was even a green light of envy. He gulped and said, "This is exactly the kingdom of my dreams. My God, this strong machine, a sub-collider, would it cost at least $30 million? Oh, my God, I'm sure this microscope should be a limited edition Leica microscope, and you have 3 of them." Professor Stern kept yelling in Chen Hui's laboratory. Chen Hui didn't bother to pay attention to him, turned his head and looked at Banner beside him and said, "Dr. Banner, I don't know if you agree to my suggestion. If you agree, I guarantee that this laboratory will be open to you unconditionally every day. And you can still know some of my secrets. I think you will be curious about 827. Indeed, I'm curious about your secret, Dr. Chen." Banner looked at Chen Hui with a wise gleam in his eyes. When he was not transformed, he was one of the most intelligent people in the world. Thinking back on what happened before, he suddenly had some guesses in his mind. But he still refused. "But you also know my situation, I am a dangerous person, maybe at some point, I will." "Oh, you mean to say that you can't control your emotions a lot of the time?" Chen Hui smiled slightly. "What if I said, I have a way for you to control your emotions? With all due respect, Dr. Banner, you think you are a monster after transformation, but in my opinion, this is a kind of evolution. Plant a gift from heaven. The human body contains infinite mysteries, and this kind of mystery is even more miraculous than the entire universe. You don't need to resist your ability at all. If you think you can't control it, then, I will help you control it. Help you open the unlimited potential in your body." Chapter 70. Chen Hui's voice was not loud, but in Banner's ears, it sounded like a thunderclap suddenly. Transformation does not mean turning into a monster, but a kind of evolution, a gift from God. The human body contains infinite mysteries. He had never had a similar thought before, so he couldn't help but look at Chen Hui in surprise, but it was Chen Hui's first sentence that caught his attention the most. Dr. Chen Hui, you said, you have a way for me to control my emotions. Chen Hui nodded and said, yes, actually, the main reason why you lose control of your emotions, especially after transforming, is that your emotions are so powerful. In addition to your personality, you also produced a personality called Green Titan. As he spoke, Chen Hui took out a special tablet in his hand and clicked on a video. With a swipe of the finger, immediately, the video floats into the air, appearing in a 3D stereoscopic effect. This virtual projection technology was sent by Tony for him to use. The current Hammer Industries, under the instruction of Chen Hui, has basically cooperated with Stark Industries in all aspects, so Stark Industries has advanced technology. He can enjoy it completely for free here. The video opens. Then there was a scene of Green Titans making trouble in Washington in the air. An expression of shame and self-blame immediately appeared on Banner's face. Dr. Banner, there is a good saying. Only those who dare to face the past can move forward to the future. If you want to control your emotions, I suggest that you watch this video with me in peace. Chen Hui said. Okay. Banner nodded helplessly, turning his face to the video. This video was specially cut by Chen Hui. The scene inside is not the Green Titan's wanton and crazy destruction, but the scene of the Green Titan blocking a little girl under a collapsed building in order to protect her. Look, Dr. Banner, maybe you don't remember it anymore, but at that time, you controlled your emotions very well. Chen Hui moved his hand and froze the picture. You saved this little girl. Some people may say that this is a kind nature hidden in Lu Titan's heart, but what I want to say is that this is actually your will, your will. Spiritual power, a powerful control ability condensed from your own personality. And this kind of control belongs to your own power, Dr. Banner. In other words, you can use your own power to control the power of the Green Titan. What you have to do is not to destroy the Green Titan's personality, but to use your own personality to control the Green Titan's personality and make it two in one. Chen Hui's words kept ringing in Banner's ears. Banner was a little dazed. He had never considered such a question, but Chen Hui, who was not originally a Green Titan, knew Green Titan better than him, so he couldn't help but admire Chen Hui for a moment. Banner was originally an extremely smart person, and now listening to Chen Hui's words, he gradually entered the state. Dr. Chen Hui, I think I understand what you mean. Dr. Banner thought, it's like schizophrenia in psychology, but knowing the principle is one thing, trying to solve it is another. I want to control and even integrate the Green Titan's personality. How should I do it? What? To be honest, I have been looking for a way to control my emotions for more than 5 months, and I have done a lot of practice, but when it comes time to transform, I still can't control it. Hey, in fact, psychological problems are often caused by physical reasons, just like many teenagers. The reason why their desires are dissatisfied is because they have reached the puberty stage. Chen Hui laughed and said, Dr. Banner, I want to solve the problem of your dual personality, I think. I need to take a sample of your genetic blood to do a more in-depth investigation, you know. Half an hour later, Chen Hui took a large tube of Green Titan gene blood sample and entered the deep experimental laboratory with satisfaction, starting a special research. Having spared such a big trick in front of Banner and pretending to be coercive for so long, Chen Hui's main purpose is to obtain the genetic blood sample of the Green Titan. One is to conduct more in-depth research, and the other is to store it for future use. Last time I extracted the essence elements of the Green Titan gene, together with the vibranium elements, the new energy elements were integrated through the cell arc reactor, thus completely transforming my cell structure. But the Green Titan's gene is far from being thoroughly researched. There are still more treasures to be discovered, such as the fact that the more angry I am, the stronger I am. Physical strength. Once my physical strength reaches a certain level, then my chakra energy will become a bit weak. If my chakra energy can become larger and larger as my fighting spirit grows, then it will be very easy to use the large-scale dance of early fern and sea of bones. In addition, the huge chakra can also exercise my spiritual power faster, so that my spiritual power can integrate with chakra and then integrate into osteoclasts. The growth and decomposition of the bones have been carried out. You can also perform a trick similar to killing the ashes together. So first of all, I will get Li Zhao, the key factor in the Green Titan gene, which is the key factor that strengthens according to emotions, and control it. At that time, Not only my chakra can also be at will, the fighting spirit is soaring, helping Banner to control his emotions will be very easy and simple. Kill two birds with one stone. Chen Hui was thinking and researching. What he studied last time was the all-round essence extraction in the Green Titan gene, but he didn't study it thoroughly, but because it was all-round, it was extremely difficult. This time he chose a specific direction to conquer. In this special aspect, although the difficulty is still not small, but because it is one-sided, it is a little easier to study. Coupled with the help of Dr. Banner and Professor Stern, Chen Hui's research finally achieved a critical breakthrough within a month and a half. Chapter 71. Under the cold experimental light, Chen Hui picked up a special silver syringe. The tip of the injection needle shone with a cold and sharp light, and it was as long as 2 index fingers, which looked very attractive. But Chen Hui didn't look at the strange and expensive syringe, but at a drop of liquid in it. Yes, just a drop of liquid. The liquid didn't spread out like water, but condensed into an emerald-like sphere. At first glance, it didn't look like a liquid at all, but a solid substance. Dr. Chen Hui, are you sure that the thing we finally refined can help me control my emotions? Banner frowned, with a strange expression on his face. Although he is one of the most intelligent people in the world, and he has been helping Chen Hui to study together from the beginning to the end, he still feels that he can't keep up with Chen Hui's ideas. Professor Stern on the side was even more confused. To be honest, in his heart, for the past 1.5 months, he always felt that he was living in a dream, completely unable to keep up with Chen Hui's 793's rhythm, and could only help Chen Hui. Even so, the admiration in Chen Hui's eyes couldn't help but grow stronger. Good. Chen Hui nodded and said with a smile, Dr. Banner, have you ever heard of something called elixir? Elixir. Banner froze for a moment, then continued, I've heard that this is a kind of medicine made from gold stones, medicinal materials and other materials in a special container in China, but most of them are poisonous. They were all very obsessed, thinking that this elixir would make them immortal, but they died faster because of the elixir poisoning. Banner's knowledge is very profound, and he naturally knows these things. But as he said that, his face became more and more strange. Dr. Chen Hui, you don't want to say that this thing is a pill? Why not? Chen Hui said with a smile, haha, come on, Dr. Banner, don't look like you ate a fly, I was just kidding, CCDJ. How could the medicinal liquid we extracted with scientific methods be gold and stone, things? Chen Hui raised his expression and said, but to be honest, Dr. Banner, since this drop of medicinal liquid condenses into a sphere, it proves that its density is extremely high, and it is close to a solid state. Regardless of its small size, once it is dispersed, that amount is astonishing. Moreover, this thing is basically completely acting on your brain, and when it passes through your cervical spine, it will completely penetrate your nerves and brain. If you are not strong-willed, you will probably be brain dead. Dr. Banner, are you sure you want to start using it now, or wait until I find a psychotic murderer to experiment with? Chen Hui asked solemnly. Banner fell silent for a moment. Then he took a deep breath and said with concentration, Dr. Chen Hui, use it now. If I don't even have this bit of willpower and confidence, how can I control the personality of the Green Titan? Okay. Let's get started. In a huge room that Chen Hui asked Hammer to spend a lot of money on, the door opened, and Banner walked in. This room is surrounded by pale walls, coupled with the bright lights, making this place full of ruby. When Chen Hui rebuilt the laboratory, Hammer began to build this room. It's his fighting training room. The room was extremely solid, surrounded by 100-meter thick steel walls. Even if Banner transformed into a Green Titan, it would be very difficult to break out of this room under emotional rage. However, Chen Hui considered that the current experiment will severely stimulate the brain of the Green Titan, making the Green Titan not only as simple as rage, but his strength may increase to a point that even he can hardly reach, so he later incorporated him into it. The vibranium bone material further enhances the firmness of this room. Dr. Banner, the experiment is about to start, are you ready? In the room, Chen Hui's voice sounded. Ready? Banner nodded. Okay. The first step is to prevent your body from becoming uncontrollable after transformation. You need to anesthetize your body cells, reduce the activity of your body cells as much as possible, and enhance your own personality awareness. As he said that, from the chair Banner was sitting on, the organs on both sides were opened, and a tiny needle tube pierced into his body respectively. Laugh. With the injection of a liquid medicine, Banner only felt paralyzed and unable to move at all, but his eyes suddenly brightened, and his personality awareness was greatly enhanced. The second step, which is also the most crucial step, is to perform the cervical spine injection. Dr. Banner, please pay attention, because your consciousness is strongly activated. This cervical spine injection will bring you great pain, and it will also make you instantly transform into a Green Titan. And when the time comes, you will have to confront the personality of the Green Titan. You must always be prepared. Okay. Let's get started. I'm always ready. Banner took a deep breath and said slowly. And the moment his voice fell, the syringe appeared above the seat. Behind the syringe was an energy propeller powered by an arc reactor. The powerful propulsion force could ensure that the droplet was filled with extremely dense circles. The shaped medicine liquid entered Banner's body, and dispersed and penetrated into Banner's brain. Outside the room, Chen Hui's eyes were serious. Seeing that Banner was ready, he pressed the button without the slightest hesitation. Laugh. The needle penetrated Banner's cervical spine. The drop of green circular liquid medicine instantly disintegrated under the powerful force of the thruster, penetrated into Banner's cervical spine through the needle tube. Almost in the blink of an eye, it permeated all of Banner's nerves and brain, causing him to shudder. The eyes widened, the pupils contracted, and a strong green light came out of them. Chapter 72. When the needle pierced Banner's cervical spine, with the penetration of the liquid medicine, Banner's whole body instantly burst out with blue veins, his skin turned green, his muscles swelled up, and he turned into a Green Titan. And because the brain is stimulated, the inflated body is almost double the normal size. The power increases exponentially. Boom! The seat under him instantly fell apart. With a slight swing of the fist, a deep fist mark was left on the 100-meter thick steel wall. Chen Hui looked outside the room, feeling the slight vibration around him. He was slightly startled. You must know that he has incorporated some of his vibranium bone materials into the surrounding walls. Although it is not complete vibranium, it still has strong stability and has the characteristics of energy absorbing. It can be said that even if a bomb hits the room, the explosion will not cause the slightest vibration around. But right now, the Green Titan is only punching, and the surrounding area is shaking slightly. This force is estimated to reach more than 5,000 tons. I want to reach a strength of more than 5,000 tons, I have to constantly improve my fighting spirit, and I also need the blessing of chakra, but right now, the brain-stimulated Green Titan has reached it all at once, and the activity of the whole body cells was still under my control before. Anesthetized, it's really scary. Chen Hui sighed slightly in his heart, but the stronger the better. In the future, when Banner can control his emotions, when I want to fight, I won't have to worry about no one practicing with me. But now we have to get down to business. Chen Hui thought about it, then turned his head to Professor Stern and said, Professor Stern, help me turn on the arc reactor over there to the maximum power. No problem. Professor Stern responded, and ran over after him. When the arc reactor device was raised to the maximum power, Chen Hui focused his eyes slightly, controlled the switch, and opened a gap in the room. From it, a needle tube with a faint golden light protruded out, which was a meter long. This needle tube was completely condensed by Chen Hui using his vibranium bones. Its purpose is to pierce it into the extremely tough muscle tissue of the Green Titan, and ensure that it will not be broken by the Green Titan, and then from the Green Titan. One thing he needs is extracted from the body. Runaway Green Titan gene. The study of the emotional elements in the Green Titan gene made Chen Hui deeply realize that the complexity of the Green Titan gene is far beyond that of ordinary mutant cells. It also made Chen Hui realize that if he wants to extract the key factor for the Green Titan to become more angry and stronger is to obtain the Green Titan gene in the runaway state. Because only the Green Titan gene in this state has more abundant changes, allowing Chen Hui to research more things. In that drop of medicinal solution, apart from the factors I have researched that can suppress the emotional personality of the Green Titan and enhance Banner's self-personality, the most important thing is the genetic components of my cells. The vibranium element in it can greatly stabilize Banner's self-personality, so that it will not be swallowed by the Green Titan personality, and may even integrate the Green Titan personality. Integrate successfully, and then Banner can transform into a Green Titan at will, and can easily change back to his original body through thoughts. But this depends on whether Banner's own willpower is strong or not. Taking this opportunity, I can extract the Green Titan gene in the runaway state. Save it for future research, and in this way, through gene extraction, the strength of the Green Titan's personality can also be weakened, and I can help Banner by the way. As the needle tube of the vibranium bone fell, Chen Hui pressed a switch again, so that the thruster above the needle tube was connected to the arc reactor, and a powerful propulsion energy burst out immediately. Under the strong propulsion force, the vibranium bone needle rushed out, piercing into the back of the berserk Green Titan suddenly. Laugh! Under the pain, the Green Titan let out a roar and grabbed it with his hands. But Chen Hui was very cunning. The needle tube was not too fast to draw the blood of the Green Titan gene, but he made a decisive decision, and immediately controlled the switch to retract the needle tube back into the gap, allowing the Green Titan to grab an empty hole. When the Green Titan began to fight with Banner's ego personality again, Chen Hui pressed the switch again, letting the needle shoot out, piercing the Green Titan's body, making the Green Titan roar again and again. But when it was about to grab it, the needle made another swish, and quickly retracted, as fast as lightning. After doing this over and over again, after going back and forth, a sufficient amount of runaway Green Titan gene was finally collected, which made Chen Hui very satisfied, and he withdrew the needle in a still unsatisfied mood. At the same time, due to the interference of Chen Hui and the continuous attack of Banner's self-personality will, the Green Titan personality was finally overwhelmed. After struggling with Banner's self-personality for a while, with a loud roar, he fell violently. When he landed on the ground, he stopped and closed his eyes. When the eyes were opened again, the tyranny in them had disappeared, replaced by a calm light. The Green Titan stood up and looked at his huge amounts of green palm, followed by excitement in his eyes. I succeeded. I successfully integrated the green-eyed personality. Clang! At this moment, the door opened, and the figure of Chen Hui walked in. He smiled slightly and said, "Congratulations, Dr. Banner. From now on, there will be no savage Green Titan in the world, but the real Green Titan Hulk." Chapter 73. Chen Hui, thank you. With a thought, the Green Titan's body became smaller, and finally turned into Dr. Banner. He looked at Chen Hui with gratitude in his eyes. Haha, Dr. Banner, why are you being polite to me? Chen Hui smiled, shaking the rampant Green Titan gene blood in his hand. Besides, I am not without gains, and as Chen Hui said, his eyes suddenly flashed with brilliance. Whoosh! As soon as the figure moved, it came in front of Banner in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the bone spur appeared in his hand, and stabbed towards Banner fiercely. Banner's pupil shrank. Roar! With a roar, his body turned into a Green Titan in an instant, grabbing Chen Hui's bone spur directly. With a strange 470 flashing in his eyes, he looked at Chen Hui. You really are that person? Yes, I am that person. A smile curled up at the corner of Chen Hui's mouth. Dr. Banner, or Hulk, I've had itchy hands for nearly 2 months, how about playing a drill with me? Then you have to watch out for your bones. Hulk's voice was thunderous, with a smile on the corner of his mouth, and he punched Chen Hui fiercely. Time in the laboratory always passes very fast. With Banner's help, Chen Hui's research progressed very quickly. Chen Hui quickly completed a complete analysis of the runaway Green Titan gene, and applied it to his own body. Finally, his chakra level could grow with his the fighting spirit has soared, and it has also grown. In this way, through the integration of his own fighting spirit and chakra, Chen Hui finally mutated his own mind, and was able to integrate chakra for external release, diffusion, and recovery. Chakra control is more subtle and perfect, and it can also incorporate elements of bone formation and decomposition to grow and decompose outside the body. In this way, his concept of Plan A for bone vein enhancement is almost completed. And during this period, he also discovered an interesting phenomenon. He can not only control chakra to decompose the bones outside the body, but also decompose the blood genes outside his body. The blood will automatically decompose and dissipate, which is very strange. This is also a surprise. On this day, in the fighting training room, Chen Hui sat alone in the middle of the room, eyes closed, and seemed to be sleeping. However, if someone who knows about cultivation sees it, they will be able to recognize that Chen Hui's appearance is actually doing meditation practice, but all masters in fighting technique will practice this kind of meditation practice. It's not just an enhancement of the spirit, but also an enhancement of physical coordination. Because in the process of meditation, the subtle muscle tissue will constantly wriggle, improving the control over the body muscles. Chen Hui does meditation not only to improve his control over his body, but also to integrate chakra energy with his own spirit and constantly temper his mind. Strong mentality, Powerful strength, coupled with strong body control. Only in this way can one become an all-around strong man, so as not to leave too many weaknesses for the enemy to take advantage of. Call. Suddenly, Chen Hui opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, he moved his palm, and pieces of small, sharp, strange bones with light grey were shot out from his palm. These sharp bones were extremely fast, piercing through a large steel plate that Chen Hui placed in front of him in an instant. Follow. The entire steel plate burst open, turning into steel slag and falling all over the ground. Seeing this, Chen Hui frowned slightly, picked up a scrap of steel and observed it carefully. In the end, there was thought in his eyes. This imitation of the trick of killing the ashes together seems to be unable to achieve the magic like in the comics. Once it touches a person, the person will be wiped out, but such a strong explosion, even the steel plate is shattered. Scum, not to mention human beings, although it is still not up to the level of being completely wiped out, but the lethality is almost the same good. The move that Chen Hui is using now is the scientific version of the ashes of mutual killing that he has researched. The principle is actually very simple. His vibranium bones have strong stability, and generally, substances with higher stability will explode with unparalleled power after absorbing enough energy and being decomposed. Just like the atomic bomb. The atomic nucleus is actually very stable, but if it is fissioned, and then fissioned by means, the heat will be released, and released again, and the power of the explosion will be terrifying. Chen Hui uses the power of chakra to disintegrate his own bones, so that when his vibranium bones reach the critical point of decomposition, they will shoot out violently. In this way, as long as they touch something, the stable structure of the vibranium bones will be destroyed. There will be a strong explosion. This can create an effect similar to killing ashes together. After practicing his scientific version of killing ashes together, Chen Hui stood up, took a shower, changed his clothes, and was about to leave the laboratory. Now his various researches are almost done, and the time in the laboratory is almost like practicing against Banner and practicing his own unique skills. After it's over, just play with Gwen, don't be too comfortable in the little days. It is evening now. Just when he left the laboratory and was about to call Gwen on May 9th to ask the other party out, a tingling feeling suddenly hit his mind. Hey? Spider telepathy. Chen Hui's mind was moved, he frowned and looked into the distance, only to see a faint meteor passing by in the distant sky. Ordinary people are too strong, and they sensed it in an instant. Even at this time, spider telepathy also surged. Strange, how could a meteor cause my spider telepathy? Could there be something on it that could threaten me? Chen Hui wondered. Out of curiosity, he couldn't help walking towards the direction where the meteorite fell. Chapter 74. At the moment, Queens, New York. A few miles away from Chen Hui's lab. In a building with glass windows, a man with slightly bald forehead put down his binoculars and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Natasha Romanoff, Dr. Chen Hui has appeared, according to the director's intention, continue to follow up and evaluate, but this time you shouldn't lose track of him, right? Phil Coulson, are you kidding me? In the distance, not far from Chen Hui's laboratory, by the window of a coffee shop, a woman with long red hair and big sunglasses raised her eyebrows and whispered coldly. In front of her, there was a notebook with fragments of records that no one could understand. But if Chen Hui was here, he would definitely be able to understand. Because these are the rules of his daily travel. As well as the activities carried out, who communicated with, interpersonal relationships, personal habits, and. It is the evaluation of Chen Hui's ability. In short, there are basically all aspects of information about a person. However, these materials about Chen Hui, although they can be summarized in a very broad range, except for a general situation, there is no detailed information at all. In other words, this piece of information can only let people know how awesome Chen Hui is on the surface, but how awesome he really is, it can't tell the reason at all. Even, to put it bluntly, some of this information is still wrong. With Chen Hui's spider telepathy, he naturally already knew that someone was following him and investigating him, secretly, and did not bother him. No doubt it was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. It doesn't bother him, but Chen Hui doesn't like being followed. So Chen Hui used some means to deliberately give the other party some wrong information, and used anti-reconnaissance methods to play around with the stalker. This was also one of his usual entertainment activities, but in this way, to make his follower dash the famous Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff depressed. Humph, Phil Coulson, don't worry, I'm fully prepared this time. This Dr. Chen Hui, he can't find my... Black Widow bit his white teeth lightly, and a sneer of unconvinced sneer appeared on his coquettish red lips. Okay, Natasha Romanoff, do your best, but according to the director's order, you can't disturb Dr. Chen Hui too much, understand? Don't worry, I won't disturb him. Hi. Hello? Natasha Romanoff? Romanoff agent? Natasha Romanoff? Please stay in touch with me. Oh, damn, this is something to play. Chen Hui was thinking about what was on the meteor that fell from the sky, while heading towards the falling direction. According to the sound and visual observation, this meteorite should not be too big, otherwise it would have attracted everyone's attention, and according to the direction of its fall, hey. Thinking about it. Suddenly Chen Hui's spider telepathy surged, his eyes moved, and he glanced at the distance behind him, only to see a faint black shadow flashing there. Seeing this, a funny smile appeared on the corner of Chen Hui's mouth. This Black Widow is really persistent. He smiled secretly in his heart, forget it, I'll have fun with you today. Thinking, the figure suddenly turned a corner and disappeared at the corner. Okay. In a hidden place, Black Widow followed Chen Hui from afar, and saw Chen Hui turning a corner and disappearing, frowned slightly, but did not walk up immediately. Instead, he took out a device from his slender waist. Open. Chi. As if spinning silk, soon a gauze enveloped her delicate body, making her figure become transparent in the blink of an eye, and disappeared. Even if someone stood in front of her, they couldn't find her at all. Figure. Only in this way, Black Widow is satisfied. Looking in the direction where Chen Hui disappeared, a sly smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he walked over quickly. Hey? It's a bit powerful. Although my spider telepathy fluctuates, I can't find any traces at all. This Black Widow has some skills. Chen Hui stood on the roof of an apartment building, and when he moved his mind, his chakra-integrated mental thoughts immediately turned into countless chakra filaments, and spread out. Okay. Suddenly, Chen Hui's eyes moved, and he looked at a place in the corner of the street, and then a smile appeared on his face. I see, are you wearing invisible clothes? It seems that S.H.I.E.L.Ds technology should not be underestimated, but, I still found out. Chen Hui left a trace of chakra's spiritual imprint on Black Widow. Following his body, he jumped out of the apartment in an instant, deliberately swayed in front of Black Widow, and left quickly. Black Widow was looking for Chen Hui's figure. Seeing this, his eyes flashed and he followed him. It's just that she already has Chen Hui's chakra spirit imprint on her body, although this imprint will dissipate with time, but that's about 10 hours later. During this hour, even if Black Widow puts on the invisibility cloak, Chen Hui's whereabouts are still under Chen Hui's control, and he can do whatever he wants. As time passed, Chen Hui played Black Widow while heading towards the direction where the meteor fell. Soon, an hour passed. And at this time, the crash site was about to arrive. Chen Hui sneered, okay, the entertainment time is over, Black Widow, see you tomorrow. Haha. After leaving completely, no trace of Black Widow was left. Chapter 75. Damn it. Got tricked again. When Black Widow could no longer find Chen Hui, she finally realized that she was still being tricked by the other party, and she couldn't help tearing off the invisibility cloak, with a frantic expression on her face. So angry. It's fine that Chen Hui can find her every time. But she still has to play tricks on her. And let her find out that she has been played again at the last minute. This is what drives everyone crazy. If she hadn't been extremely talented as an agent, she would have killed that BD Chen Hui long ago. However, if she finds out that no matter how many shots she takes, even if Chen Hui stands over there and hits her, nothing will happen to her, but she herself will be injured, then she will probably be even more depressed and frantic. None of these smart guys is a good thing. Hey. Black Widow snorted depressedly. Immediately ready to go home. But before he took a few steps, he suddenly paused. John, did you see that? It looks like something just fell near this street. What is it? Looks like a shooting star. Oh Stephen, what are you kidding about? 690, if a meteor falls, there will definitely be a big explosion. Two little boys playing basketball ran past Black Widow. Did something fall? Black Widow was taken aback, and the agent's instinct told her that the falling thing was probably a little tricky. And although Chen Hui played around with her in recent days, he only completely left her at a place not far from Gwen's house. Today, this place is obviously far away from Gwen's house. Maybe that guy is looking for this fallen thing. Black Widow rolled his eyes. Go and see. The place where the tiny meteorite fell was in a small forest. Chen Hui walked in. Relying on chakra's diffusion detection, Chen Hui easily found the fallen micrometeorite, which looked like an ordinary black stone from a distance. Chen Hui picked it up. There is still a little heat on it. It doesn't look like there's anything special about it. Chen Hui looked over and over carefully for a while, but didn't notice anything special about this stone. And the most critical point, his spider telepathy has no reaction to this stone. No reaction at all. As if thinking of something, Chen Hui suddenly focused his eyes. It also proves that the danger that spider telepathy suggested is not this stone, but something else, something that was on this stone before, at this time. Chen Hui's spider telepathy surged strongly again, and this time the surges came from 3 different directions. 2 of the directions are stronger, while the third is weaker. There are 3 sources of danger. Chen Hui turned around abruptly, used chakra to strengthen spider telepathy, and perceived what these 3 sources of danger were. Soon. There was a vague feeling in my mind. In the weakest direction, a woman with long red hair is approaching cautiously. Black Widow. Chen Hui was taken aback. But soon the attention was attracted by the other 2 things. In a blur, they seemed to be 2 weird creatures that looked exactly the same. They were all black, and they felt like a kind of black viscous substance. Creeping around. Hey? This is... Sensing this, Chen Hui faintly felt that this thing was a little familiar, and he couldn't help but move, and came not far from the sticky weird creature that was closest to him. Aberdeen, spy, take a closer look. Seeing this, he immediately opened his eyes wide and recognized it. Symbiont. Chen Hui was shocked. It looks like a symbiont from an alien. And 2 of them came at once. After being slightly surprised, Chen Hui's mind suddenly moved. Symbiotes are a great thing. The venom symbiote he extracted from Peter's genes helped him a lot in the early stages. But now, due to the sudden increase in his strength, the venom battlesuit has barely enhanced his combat power. It is just a piece of clothing for him to conceal his identity, and has no other use other than that. But now that he has this alien symbiote, if he studies it thoroughly, there is no doubt that it will greatly enhance the ability of his venom battlesuit. This alien symbiote must be captured. But with Black Widow in. Chen Hui frowned, and with a thought, the venom battlesuit gushed out from his body, wrapped himself up, turned into a black windbreaker, covered his face, and immediately moved his body, directly facing the outsider who was still wandering around in a daze. The star symbiote grabs it. When the alien symbiote saw Chen Hui, it was not surprised but happy, and immediately jumped towards Chen Hui. Chen Hui seemed to have expected this. The vibranium bones on his arm spread out, forming 3 bone spurs, and suddenly pinned the alien symbiosis to the ground. Humph! Be honest with me. Chen Hui said coldly, following the chakra pouring into the bone spurs, causing spikes to grow on the bone spurs, twisting and twisting, turning into a small bone spur cage, ready to lock up this alien symbiote. But at this moment... SHHHHH! The alien symbiote screamed, its body actually turned into a liquid, and flowed out from the gap between the bone spurs, but it didn't escape, but moved towards Chen Hui's wrist. And at this moment, he was biting his venom battlesuit frantically. In just a short while, most of Chen Hui's venom battlesuit had been devoured, and it was clinging to half of Chen Hui's body, making Chen Hui frown. Almost at the same moment, Black Widow was searching for traces of Chen Hui, but at this moment, she fixed her eyes and saw another alien symbiosis on the ground. The alien symbiote was wandering around, and when it saw Black Widow, it suddenly became extremely excited. With a scream, as if seeing a relative, he jumped towards Black Widow. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.